Chapter 239. What's the bet? Lin Yu rubbed his chin. If I lose, I'll give you 6 billion glory baht, and I won't take a single cent. How does that sound? Are you serious? Su Hongyi's eyes lit up. Charm was also watching Lin Yu's every move. She couldn't help but feel angry. This kid is really good at picking up girls. She had seen Su Hongyi step into Lin Yu's trap with her own eyes. Of course. Don't you trust the sect master of the low-key sect? Su Hongyi bowed and smiled apologetically. I'm sorry for my rudeness. Since Sect Master Lin has spoken, it's naturally a matter of law. However, if I lose, what does Sect Master want? I want you. Lin Yu took a step closer, and Su Hongyi's expression changed. She interrupted him. Sect Master Lin, please respect yourself. Of course I know. Boss Su, you've always been a virgin. Lin Yu smiled apologetically. But I haven't finished yet. Don't panic, Boss Su. Even though it was an apology, Su Hongyi could not help but blush. How did he know that she was still that kind of person? Young master, please continue. I want Boss Su to accompany me to the inner area. Hearing this, Su Hongyi's pretty face instantly turned ghastly pale. Impossible. She refused without even thinking about it. This scene shocked Mei greatly. Logically speaking, people who open gambling houses like this would have the opportunity to see the world. If Lin Yu could take her to the inner area, it wouldn't be a bad thing. However, Su Hongyi's expression told Charm that she was terrified of the inner area. Boss Su, won't you consider it? Lin Yu asked again. No need. Someone come. Su Hongyi hurriedly shouted to a servant not far behind her. The servant immediately stepped forward and handed over a storage ring that had been prepared. Here are 5 billion glory baht. Please wait for a moment for the rest, Sect Master Lin. Lin Yu couldn't help but remind her, Boss Su, you still have to face what you have to face. You. Su Hongyi's face darkened. What do you know? Lin Yu glanced at the person behind her. You guys can leave first. Su Hongyi knew what Lin Yu meant. After her people left, why was Mei still here? Where are your men? Her. Lin Yu turned around and glanced at Charm. You should go out and wait too. Mei snorted in annoyance, but she still walked out obediently. Sect Leader Lin, I don't know how you know the surname Nanru. Su Hongyi looked over with a pleading expression. But I'm all alone in the outer realm. Can you keep this a secret for me, Sect Master? Of course you can keep it a secret. Lin Yu paced around Su Hongyi. I didn't come here to threaten you, Boss Su. Like I said, I wanted to come with me to the inner area. What happened in the past has nothing to do with me. Nanru, Hongyi, but you still went through the realm gate today. Lin Yu's voice became serious. If you really think that the inner area has nothing to do with you, why did you go there? I told you, my name is Su Hongyi. Su Hongyi clenched her teeth. I'm the owner of the gambling house. The outcome of the advancement battle is related to the gambling house. Have you forgotten what Madame Beauty and I did today? Su Hongyi couldn't help but tremble. She grabbed Lin Yu's hand and said uncontrollably, You told her about me? Lin Yu smiled and said, If I told you, would you still be here? She dared to kill your mother. Do you think she'll let you go? Su Hongyi took a few steps back and let out a long sigh. Thank you, Sect Leader Lin. But she'll come again. Lin Yu continued. Today is the official ranking battle. In the past, whenever it was the turn of a quasi-emperor sect, they would come with great fanfare to showcase the strength of a quasi-emperor sect. This is also one of the ways to suppress the outer area sections. But you should know that Madame Beauty and Zhang Lingyi are here today. This is not normal. Su Hongyi's face grew paler and paler. Sect Leader Lin, if you have something to say, just say it. Hongyi can hold on. It's time for Patriarch Beauty to pass on her position. Before that, she wants to eliminate the source of trouble. Lin Yu's voice was incomparably calm, but it set off huge waves in Su Hongyi's heart. My mother, Nanru, is already dead. Why won't you let me go? Su Hongyi shook her head. I've never thought of competing with Zhang Lingyi, but your existence is still a hidden danger. Lin Yu patted her shoulder. Su Hongyi would never let a man touch her, but at this moment, she couldn't refuse Lin Yu. Lin Yu said softly, A man's wealth is his own ruin. Patriarch Beauty's care for you is the greatest hidden danger. Once you reappear in Patriarch Beauty, everything that Zhongling Yi has now may be taken away by you. You should know this. Su Hongyi staggered a few steps. She knows I'm here. If not, Madame Beauty and Zhongling Yi wouldn't have only come today. She could see that Zhongling Yi's goal was Lin Yu, while Madame Beauty's goal was to protect her son. But Lin Yu's words shattered this misconception. Sect Leader Lin, may I ask, when will she come? Su Hongyi asked. Lin Yu answered firmly, as long as I'm in the Outland, she won't dare to come. Su Hongyi turned around and met Lin Yu's eyes. She was sure that no one in the Outland would dare to say such a thing. As long as he was in the Outland, Madame Beauty, a quasi-emperor sect expert of the law realm, wouldn't dare to come to the Outland? How arrogant was that? But Su Hongyi saw incomparable confidence and certainty in Lin Yu's eyes. She recalled what happened a few hours ago. Lin Yu did have the confidence to say that. Sect Leader Lin, are you leaving the Outland? Lin Yu nodded and smiled. You're not stupid. Now, do you have the confidence to make a bet with me? Su Hongyi let out a long sigh. Since there's no turning back, I naturally have to bet. I hope Sect Leader will keep your promise. If I win, 6 billion glory baht. Yes, I won't take a single cent, Lin Yu said again. Su Hongyi smiled. The two waited quietly. Outside the door, Charm had been pacing back and forth for a long time. What did that guy say for so long? Charm complained in her heart, but Lin Yu seemed to have forgotten about her. Soon, she saw a servant girl run back. Master, did you borrow it? Su Hongyi asked hurriedly. The servant girl saw that Lin Yu was also here, and her face was conflicted. Seeing this, Su Hongyi suddenly had an ominous feeling. It's fine. Tell me. Hearing this, the servant girl was stunned. When did Master become so familiar with Lin Yu? In the past, when there were outsiders, she would not talk about the gambling house's internal affairs. Master, 3 shops rejected me. Chapter 240. What else? Su Hongyi's face turned gloomy. 7 other shops said that if they agreed to pay us double the interest, they would lend us their money. Shameless. Su Hongyi's face turned red. Go on. As for the other small shops, they're willing to lend us some money because we have helped them before. The maidservant stretched out her hand, and a string of words flashed on her storage ring. Only 30 million. The maidservant said helplessly. Su Hongyi was so angry that she swung her hand, and the storage ring fell to the ground. She slammed the table behind her. Outrageous. Didn't I treat these people well? Now, they don't know how to repay kindness? The maidservant was so scared that she didn't dare to speak. You can leave now. There's nothing for you to do here. The one who broke the silence was Lin Yu. The maidservant trembled in fear, not daring to listen to Lin Yu. Sect Master Lin told you to leave, so leave. Su Hongyi's voice came. The maidservant looked at Lin Yu in surprise. She had followed Su Hongyi for so many years, and this was the first time she saw a man giving orders to Su Hongyi's people in the gambling house. And Su Hongyi had agreed. Didn't she hate overstepping her boundaries and meddling in other people's affairs? This servant will leave now. After the maidservant left, Su Hongyi shook her head helplessly. Sect Master Lin already guessed this? Yes, I know their character very well. The people in this city can't wait for you to fall. After all, Lin Yu looked at the entire street. The gambling house's returns are good. They have long wanted to eat this meat, but as long as you are here, they can't eat it, so they want me to die early. Su Hongyi said. She didn't need Lin Yu to teach her what to do next. Young master, if you win, I can go with you. Su Hongyi said apologetically, but I might not be able to return the 1 billion glory baht to you in a short time. It's fine. Lin Yu smiled noncommittally. Actually, he was already the biggest winner since he had managed to scam 2 billion glory baht. Take the rest as your reward, Mr. Su. He knew that the benefits that Su Hongyi would bring to him in the future would be hundreds or thousands of times greater than 1 billion glory baht. When Su Hongyi saw how generous Lin Yu was and realized that there was a world of difference between him and the people from the other factions, she had a good impression of him. Thank you, Master Lin. But I still have a question. Speak. What does Sect Master Lin want me to do in the inner area? Of course it's to take back what originally belonged to you. My things? Lin Yu nodded. Don't you want to avenge your mother's death? These words were like sharp needles stabbing into Su Hongyi's heart. Her jade-like hands were clenched tightly in her sleeves. Her fingernails dug into her flesh, causing a little bit of red to seep out. However, Su Hongyi did not feel any pain at all. On the contrary, the pain in his heart was 10 times worse than the pain in his hands. There's not a day that goes by that I don't want to kill her. Su Hongyi clenched her teeth. But I'm useless. I can't do anything to her with my strength. Even if I appear, you won't even be able to see Patriarch Bodhi's face. Lin Yu interrupted Su Hongyi, afraid that she would take things too hard and explode. He did not want to comfort a woman in such a state. What do you want to do, Sect Master? Can you tell me? Su Hongyi looked at him pleadingly. Take down Madame Bodhi and let you take over. Su Hongyi's beautiful eyes lit up with hope. Really, she had buried her hatred in her heart for so many years, and there was no one she could talk to. Because she did not know who she could trust and who she could trust. The only thing she could do was hide in this city. Once the portal opened and Patriarch Bodhi arrived, she would be the first to know. Do I look like I'm lying to you? Lin Yu raised his hand. However, Su Hongyi looked at him suspiciously. I think you've lied to a lot of people. Lin Yu's face twitched. Why do you say that? Su Hongyi looked out the door. That girl is interested in you, but Sect Master turned a blind eye. Lin Yu's face darkened. Su Hongyi continued. And Zhang Lingyi, he's also looking for trouble because of a woman. Of course, with Sect Master Lin's ability, you don't have to worry about such trouble. I just want to answer your question. All right, do you believe me or not? I do. Su Hongyi nodded in the end. Sect Master, you can force that woman away. That's why I believe you. Then why don't you just say you believe me? What's with stepping on me? Lin Yu muttered in his heart, but he still welcomed this new ally. That's good. Make the arrangements and find me at the low-key sect. So soon. Su Hongyi did not expect him to leave so soon. As soon as possible. Lin Yu had already turned and left the casino. I'll wait for you at the low-key sect. With that said, Charm followed. The two walked very quickly and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, the maidservant came in. Master, Sect Master Lin, make the preparations and pack up all the valuables. If you can't take them away, sell them. Su Hongyi's words confused the maidservant. Don't you understand? This servant. Master, are you moving? Yes, I might not be able to come back alive if I leave. Su Hongyi sighed softly. She obviously knew that going to the inner area with Lin Yu was the Bodhi sect's territory. She would be like a lamb entering a tiger's den. But if she stayed here, it would be even more dangerous. Without Lin Yu, who could force Madame Bodhi away? Accessories and cultivation methods are easy to sell, but this is a casino. Who will we sell them to? The maidservant asked again. Aren't those guys waiting for my casino to close down? Su Hongyi was determined to leave. She smiled and said, Then let's hold an auction as soon as possible and sell this place. Let those who want it fight for it. Yes. The maidservant left. Su Hongyi looked around. This was her place of residence. In an instant, she felt comfortable all over. This place was like a shackle that bound her and was the source of her fear. Now that she was going to face the terrifying Madame Bodhi, she was not as afraid as she had imagined. Lin Yu, can I really trust you? When Lin Yu returned to where the low-key sect was, Charm followed behind him. Are you going to take that woman to the inner area? Yes, but she's only at the unresolvable stage. What's the use? Lin Yu smiled. Are you jealous? Get lost. Who's jealous of you? Mei immediately said angrily. Seeing that Lin Yu did not say anything, she panicked. All right, I was too harsh. Don't mind me. She stood in front of Lin Yu. Hey, I'm talking to you. Chapter 241. Go ahead. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. It was better to treat such a woman badly. Charm's specialty was to yield to force, but not persuasion. I just want to know, what are you going to do next? Why would someone in the law realm care about a mere, transcendent realm like me? When Mei heard this, she realized that she had said something wrong. She looked down on Su Hongyi's invincible realm. But wouldn't Lin Yu's realm be even lower? I didn't mean that. Don't keep me in suspense. Tell me quickly, okay? Charm pulled Lin Yu's hand helplessly. The latter shrugged. Use her to open up the inner area's network. As long as Su Hongyi is there, it's equivalent to having the Bodhi sect's help. You want to bring the low-key sect to the inner area? Charm immediately guessed Lin Yu's plan. You're not stupid. Charm snorted softly. You're the stupid one. But you already have Madame Bodhi's help. What else do you need Su Hongyi for? Oh, Lin Yu stepped forward. You were eavesdropping just now. Otherwise, how would Charm know the difference between Su Hongyi and Madame Bodhi? I forget it. Lin Yu was too lazy to care about this. He only said, Madame Bodhi is not a stable friend, but Su Hongyi is. Do you understand? No. Charm pursed her lips. She would be a fool if she believed him. Why don't you say that Su Hongyi is more charming than Madame Bodhi? That way, I'll believe you more easily. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. You can understand it that way. Sure enough, it's for a woman. Charm shook her head regretfully. In fact, with your ability, it's a little overkill to establish yourself in a quasi-emperor sect. Her sudden words made Lin Yu stop in his tracks and look at her with interest. Seeing Lin Yu stop, Charm immediately struck while the iron was hot. What I mean is if you join Hellgate, I can explain to Lady Nuba. Explain what? Lin Yu smiled softly. He wanted to hear more. In the 100,000 years that he had been trapped, he had roughly understood this woman. But at that time, his understanding of the body and techniques was not as detailed as it was now. Or rather, after knowing her for a longer period of time, he found something even more interesting. For example, Mei's conflicts and entanglements along the way. It means that Wang Liang's matter has nothing to do with you. Mei said through gritted teeth. But aren't you lying? I was the one who killed Wang Liang. Lin Yu had an indifferent look on his face, but his heart was filled with emotions. In the past, he could not force Charm to betray Nu Ba, even when the two of them were happy. But now, could this be considered as Charm betraying Nu Ba for his sake? From Mei's point of view, Lin Yu's indifferent reaction made her heart beat faster. She was furious. So what if I lied once? If Lady Nuba finds out that you killed Wang Liang, he'll definitely kill me, even cruelly, Lin Yu said casually. Mei's shoulders immediately sank, and he became dispirited. Since you know, but if you join the ghost sect, I can hide this matter for you forever. What if I say no? Lin Yu still wanted to know the worst outcome. I'll kill you, Mei said coldly. But in Lin Yu's eyes, there were tears in her eyes. Lin Yu knew that he couldn't continue and patted her shoulder. Let's talk about it after you recover your cultivation. After saying that, he went straight into the sect master's hall. This was originally the place where the Raging Fire Temple was located, but now it had become the headquarters of the low-key sect. In fact, after Lin Yu looked around, this place was even more spectacular than the previous Raging Fire Temple. It seemed that the other members of the low-key sect had also spent a lot of effort to transform this place. Greetings, Sect Master. The guards immediately recognized Lin Yu and knelt down in fear. Lin Yu remembered that these 8 guards were brought into the monster beast forest by Shun Yinran. He didn't expect them to become the guards of the low-key sect. No need to be so polite. Just as Lin Yu said that, 2 guards ran in and shouted, Sect Master is back. Sect Master is back. Lin Yu's face twitched. He wanted to say that they shouldn't be so high profile. Wasn't this going against his principles? But he didn't have time to say it. Rewarding the good and punishing the evil. Greetings, Sect Master. Yang Kai and Qin Wu Nian arrived first. Under Lin Yu's orders, they returned to the low-key sect through the World Crossing Gate. The 12th Elder greets Sect Master. Immediately after, Qin Ji, Yao Ge, and the others also arrived one after another. Looking at Lin Yu, who was worshipped by tens of thousands of people, Mei stood behind Lin Yu and suddenly remembered the feeling of pretending to be a little girl in the gambling house. In fact, it didn't feel bad. Get up, Lin Yu said calmly. Qin Ji took a step forward. Sect Master, there are guests. It's those 2 old guys, right? Sect Master is really good at foresight. Qin Ji was already admiring Lin Yu's wisdom. They are now in the reception hall. I wanted to wait for you to come back and inform them. But these 2 are very stubborn. They both said they want to wait for you to come back. Then let them wait. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Qin Ji whispered, "Sect Master, this is?" She was naturally referring to Mei, who was following behind Lin Yu. She had seen her twice from beginning to end, but Lin Yu had never formally introduced her. Her? Lin Yu glanced at Mei. News about her should not appear in the outer territory. When this sentence fell into Qin Ji's ears, the latter immediately frowned. I understand. It seemed that this woman was not simple. Qin Ji knew Lin Yu well. So far, there was no one who could make Lin Yu unwilling to even say their name. Qin Ji was also surprised that she could not see through this beautiful woman's cultivation. Then, there were only two possibilities. Either she was just a mortal with no cultivation, or she was a terrifying existence that surpassed her by too much. It was not difficult for Qin Ji to guess that Mei belonged to the latter. Where is he? Lin Yu interrupted her absent-mindedness. Qin Ji was stunned. I followed your previous arrangement and specially set up the Saintess Palace. Yi is now in the Saintess Palace. Good. Lin Yu was about to go to the Saintess Palace after hearing this. Qin Ji was stunned. Sect Master, aren't you going to meet those two big shots first? Let them wait. All right, arrange something for me. He whispered in Qin Ji's ear. Qin Ji was stunned for a moment after hearing this. When she wanted to ask, Lin Yu waved his hand and went straight to the Saintess Palace. When the others saw this, they stood up one after another. The Sect Master's actions are indeed mysterious. I heard that the Sect Master used to be and was called the Wangxian Sect. At that time, he was a sage king and was as famous as the Little Saintess. It seems that the Sect Master also misses the Little Saintess. Bastard, he has too many women. May stomp her feet. How could she not tell that Lin Yu was going to find other women? Chapter 242. No wonder he's unwilling to join Hellgate. Charm glanced at the few people from Loki's sect. The women here are too beautiful. Mississippi. Qin Ji's voice interrupted her grumbling. The former bowed slightly. Sect Master has arranged a residence for you. Please follow me. The rest also dispersed under Qin Ji's orders. Even the maidservants were not left behind. Qin Ji personally sent Charm over. Along the way, Charm admired the scenery of Loki's sect. Have you been here all this time? Charm asked ambiguously. Qin Ji, who was in front, slowed down. Sect Master, snatched this place for us. We just arrived here not long ago. Snatched? Charm's eyes widened. He really is a bad guy. No. Qin Ji was afraid that Lin Yu would ruin his image in front of this big shot. So she explained, this was originally Raging Fire Temple's place, but people from Raging Fire Temple were always targeting Sect Master. So Sect Master snatched it over. Raging Fire Temple provoked him first? Yes. Qin Ji nodded gently. Charm burst into laughter. Then that Raging Fire Temple deserves it. They actually dared to provoke that guy. Miss, have you known our Sect Master for a long time? Not long, just a few days. Qin Ji didn't hide anything from her. So Charm answered truthfully and asked again, where were you guys before? For Direction Star region, a very distant and weak place. Charm could not help but laugh after hearing that. So he came from there. I know about the 4-Direction Star region. He took me there. As soon as she said that, Qin Ji's heart trembled. Sect Master took you there? Yes, he was very fast. He arrived in an instant. He's really a person full of secrets. On Charm's pretty face, she could not help but feel happy when Lin Yu was mentioned. Qin Ji saw this scene. How could she not see the subtle relationship between the two? Sect Master seems to like you very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have deliberately brought you back to his previous place. How could he like me? Charm turned her face away, but Qin Ji could not help but sigh when she saw her slightly blushing face. This scoundrel really went out to flirt again. He's just using me. He took away a very large tree from there. The power of law on that tree needs me to resist it. May explained. The moment the words left Charm's mouth, she realized that she had exposed her realm. Qin Ji's heart was in turmoil. As expected, she was in the law realm. Only a quasi-emperor level sect would have someone in the law realm. Furthermore, Mei was already at the law realm at such a young age. She had personally witnessed the scene of Madame Bodhi shaking the entire outer realm. Qin couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. Right now, she was only in the unyielding realm. No wonder Lin Yu would bring charm back to the Four Directions galaxy. Miss, you don't have to worry. Qin will keep this matter a secret. May heaved a sigh of relief. I didn't hide it on purpose. It's just that he didn't want me to say it, because he wanted to protect you. Qin naturally understood that the existence of the law boundary was in the Emperor Gate Star field. Only quasi-emperors and emperor sects would possess them. If any of them were involved, it would be a disaster for the current low-profile sect. Sect Master protects us, but with our abilities, we can't protect Sect Master. Qin couldn't help but clench her fists. Seeing this, Charm comforted her. With him around, your low-profile sect will become an even more powerful sect sooner or later. This outer realm, soon, you won't be able to stay. Qin asked in surprise. Miss, you also know Sect Master's next plan? Charm nodded. His ambition is great, and his ability is enough to support his ambition. How could he be willing to stay in this star field? The inner realm, or even the core, is where he will shine. After hearing this, Qin's heart couldn't help but boil. The inner realm and the core. Yes, Sect Master will take us there. A few months ago, Qin was still in the forgotten immortal sect. If they hadn't met Lin Yu, they wouldn't even have dared to imagine coming to the Emperor Gate Star field. But now, they were a high-level sect in the outer realm. For the low-key clansmen, this was already like a dream. However, Lin Yu had already done it. Qin didn't dare to imagine what the next step would be, but as long as Lin Yu did it, she believed that he could do it. The two of them came to the door of a room with a delicate fragrance. Miss, please rest here first. Sect Master has arranged other things for me to do. Okay. Charm nodded and suddenly thought of something. Please wait. Is Miss Qin very important to him? Qin smiled. She naturally understood what was on Charm's mind. Sect Master values relationships. He treats everyone the same. Hearing this, Charm heaved a sigh of relief. In the Saintess Palace, as soon as Lin Yu arrived at the palace gate, a few maidservants immediately knelt down to greet him. Greetings, Sect Master. They were trembling with fear. This was the first time many of them had seen Lin Yu's true appearance. However, as long as one of them recognized him, the rest followed suit and knelt down. Rise. Are the Saintesses inside? Lin Yu asked. The few of them looked at each other. The 108 Saintesses are all inside. Lin Yu was stunned. It was only then that he recalled that he had taken in all the Saintesses of the dead 7 Yi Demon Emperor. Sect Master, I'll go inform them now. No need. I'll go in and take a look myself. As soon as Lin Yu's voice fell, he had already disappeared. The maidservants were startled. Did you see how Sect Master left? Everyone shook their heads. That movement technique is too fast. In the inner hall of the Saintess Palace, before Lin Yu even entered, he could already hear the chattering of the ladies. It hurts. Sister, I can't press on it anymore. No, my leg's gonna break. These were all women's delicate voices. Lin Yu took a peek with great interest. Oh my God! In front of him, the huge hall was decorated with fresh flowers. The Yao Qi above the flowers formed a cyclone that looked like a cotton bed. At this moment, hundreds of women were fixed in different positions. What's going on? Lin Yu looked at those postures. Some of them were even more alluring, and their curves were fully displayed. If not for his strong willpower, he probably would not have been able to hold himself back. However, when the women heard his voice, they were immediately shocked. How dare you? This is the Saintess Palace. No men are allowed to enter. A few of them shouted sternly. However, when they saw Lin Yu, their faces turned pale. A few of them even fell from the cyclone cotton bed. You baddie, you're finally here. A familiar voice came from behind Lin Yu. Before he could turn around, a pair of fair wrists had already wrapped around his waist. Chapter 243. You recognize me from the back? The man who is in my mind every day. How can I not recognize you? Qin Yi's gentle voice came. Lin Yu's heart warmed. He held her slightly cold hand and turned it in front of him. I listen to your story every day from my mother. Demon Beast Forest. the recognition of a high-level sect, the destruction of the raging fire temple, the realm gate that forced the Bodhi sect to retreat. Brother, you're even more powerful than before. Lin Yu didn't care about this. He wrapped his arm around Qin Yi's waist and pulled her in front of him. Whether I'm powerful or not, you'll know after you try. They're still here. Qin Yi quickly turned her face away and said shyly, "Let's go inside." "Wait, what are they practicing?" Lin Yu asked. Qin Yi immediately smiled. "Of course they're practicing for you." After Qin Yi finished speaking, she waved her hand at these saintesses. For a time, there was an endless stream of women crying out in pain in the Saintess Palace. 30 hours later, Lin Yu left the Saintess Palace. As for the saintesses inside, they were all sleeping soundly. They were completely exhausted. Lin Yu stretched and looked at the low-key sect under the bright moon. He couldn't help but sigh. "It's just practicing yoga. How can I be so tired?" He shook his head. Qin Yi taught him the wrong method, causing him to guide her for 20 hours. Of course, there were also 6 hours where he personally guided Qin Yi in various postures. The night was as dark as ink. Lin Yu returned to the sect master's hall and saw Qin Ji waiting outside. Seeing Lin Yu's arrival, Qin Ji stared at him. He actually went for a day and a night. Qin Ji bowed first. "Sect master, the things you arranged have been done. Great Elder really does things well. With your assistance, the future of the low-key sect is promising." Lin Yu praised. Qin Ji lowered her head. "Sect master, you flatter me. This is Qin Ji's duty." She could not help but recall what Mei had said. She kept reminding herself that she had to work harder so that she would not become Lin Yu's burden. If she couldn't even protect her own sect master in the future, she felt that she wasn't worthy of being the great elder. "What are you thinking about?" Seeing that Qin Ji was deep in thought, Lin Yu interrupted her. "You have something on your mind. Please forgive me, sect master. I will explain the arrangements now." Qin Ji bowed and continued. "We now have a total of 37 halls, including the Sect Leader Hall, Saintess Palace, 12 Elders Hall, and Left and Right Emissaries Palace. In terms of resources, there was a total of 179 billion glory baht. This included the 80 billion glory baht that was distributed to the inner region after they became a high-ranking sect. As for the cultivation methods, weapons, spirit artifacts, and array diagrams that were originally given to us by the inner zone. Wait. Lin Yu's right hand sucked, and Qin Ji flew backward, landing in front of the dragon throne in the sect leader's palace. "Sect master, cover!" Qin Ji had been deep in thought since just now. Seeing this, Lin Yu pressed down on her hair with one hand. For hours later, Qin Ji's swallowing sound was heard. She looked at Lin Yu as if she was begging for mercy. "If you don't say it, I'll do it again." "No," Qin Ji's hoarse voice sounded. "Sect master is getting more and more powerful." "What else?" "Also, I just feel that I've dragged you down, sect master." "Oh." Lin Yu lifted Qin Ji's slightly thin chin. "Because of Mei?" "Mei?" Qin Ji sucked in a breath of cold air. That lady is one of the 4 ghost generals of the ghost sect, the Mei general. "I thought she told you." Qin Ji shook her head and said, "Lady Mei didn't say a word. She just accidentally revealed her cultivation, so I felt." "You feel pressured?" Lin Yu guessed. Anyone would feel pressured when an invincible realm expert was in front of a law realm expert. However, some people would be even more stagnant because of this pressure. Some people could turn pressure into motivation. Qin Ji nodded honestly, afraid that Lin Yu would punish her again. "Sect Master's path is destined to be extraordinary, and you've done very well." Lin Yu interrupted her self-blame. "After we set off for the inner area, I'll find a chance to help you improve your cultivation. As long as you are in a stronger environment, you'll naturally improve. Humans are born with the ability to adapt to the environment. It's just that many people don't have confidence in themselves at first." In Lin Yu's plan, every woman was different. Qin Yi was waiting. When he was tired, as long as he went to Qin Yi, his exhaustion would disappear. Qin Ji was assisting. With her behind Lin Yu, the low-key sect had always been in order. Really, Qin Ji's eyes were filled with hope. If the things I said are ready, I'll bring the entire low-key sect to the inner area tomorrow. But I heard that opening the realm crossing gate requires the power of the law realm. This was something public in the outer area. Only a law realm sect could become a quasi-emperor sect. After obtaining the approval of 2 quasi-emperor sects, coupled with the existence of a law realm, it could be promoted to a quasi-emperor sect. At that time, the resources it would obtain would be much greater than now. By the way, those 2 people have been in our low-key sect. You haven't gone to the guest hall late at night, so I've arranged for them to stay. They don't want to leave anyway. Then let them wait. Summon them here tomorrow morning. Lin Yu smiled and cuddled with Qin Ji for a few more hours before letting her leave. Lin Yu still hadn't reached the final step in his relationship with Qin Yi's fake mother. At present, only Qin Yi had reached the final step the day before he escaped. That was the last time Lin Yu enjoyed a woman without restraint. As for the other women, Lin Yu was worried that he would owe too much responsibility. He didn't want these things to become his concern in a future war. No matter how late it was, there was no light in low-key sect other than the fire of the night patrol. Lin Yu entered the back hall alone. This was his bedroom. Under Qin Ji's care, it was warm and comfortable. However, just as Lin Yu lay down, he saw a beautiful figure fly in from the night. Lin Yu immediately recognized this beautiful figure's familiar movement technique as she sent a kick at him. He seized the opportunity to grab the other party's ankle, leaned his body forward, and pressed on top of him. A long time ago, this was how he met Yi Mingwei. "I missed you so much." Warm and fragrant panting lingered in Lin Yu's ears. The moonlight shone on Yi Mingwei's exquisite silhouette. This beauty who had missed Lin Yu for a long time did not waste any time hiding her thoughts. She stood on her tiptoes and wrapped her fair wrists around Lin Yu's neck. Her fragrant lips approached. The next day, Lin Yu opened his eyes. Yi Mingwei was leaning on her thin chin and looking at him carefully. "You can't bear to leave?" Yi Mingyu nodded her head and let out a nasal sound. "I'm afraid that if I leave, I won't be able to see you for a long time." Chapter 244. Yi Mingyue's clothes were still intact. Lin Yu didn't really touch her, which made her even more reluctant to part with him. "Will you stop for a woman one day?" Yi Mingwei lay in Lin Yu's arms. "Don't laugh at me. I didn't say that woman was me." She buried her face in Lin Yu's chest, deep in thought. Along the way, more and more beautiful women appeared around Lin Yu. The 5 fairies of wind and moon, Dongwang Feiyu, and even Charm from yesterday, all of which made his heart ache. "No way," Lin Yu said honestly. "I'm a man who doesn't have good luck with women." "Don't have good luck with women? Then what am I?" Yi Mingwei glanced at him grumpily. The vibrant morning light shone on her face. She stuck out her tongue and said, "Bad guy, since I can't keep you, I have to make you leave something for me." After saying that, she took out a red and white pill from her storage ring. Lin Yu recognized the pill at a glance. "Xiaobing gave it to you?" Yi Mingwen nodded slightly and put the pill in her mouth. Then, she opened Lin Yu's blanket and buried her head in it. It was an ice fire pill. "You're so energetic early in the morning?" Lin Yu obviously guessed what this little beauty wanted to do. "You're too energetic." He immediately heard Yi Mingyue's hesitant voice. But in less than an hour, a man and a woman's voices came from outside the hall. "Xiao Mo of the Dragon Sealing City of the 9 Luminaries. Shen Suyi of the Emperor's Sect wants to see Sect Master Lin." It was obvious that the 2 people who had been waiting for Lin Yu in the reception hall yesterday were these 2 people. Yi Mingwei trembled. "What should we do?" "Come with me." Lin Yu lifted the blanket. "Don't look," Yi Mingwei exclaimed in surprise. Lin Yu was amused. He pulled her wrist and pulled her under the table. "No, they're the sect masters of high-ranked sections. Their divine senses are powerful. They will discover me," Yi Mingwei said worriedly, but Lin Yu pressed her hair down. In the next moment, a majestic divine sense instantly blocked the front of the table. If it wasn't for the existence whose divine sense was far superior to Lin Yu's, no one would be able to detect the beauty under the table. "Sect Master Lin, you're a busy man. I can finally meet you." Xiao Mo and Shen Sui stepped into the hall. The former immediately cupped his fists and said, Sect Masters, may I know why you've come to look for Lin Yu? Hearing this, Xiao Mo and Shun Sui looked at each other, both of them hesitating to speak. What is it? Lin Yu smiled faintly. Xiao Mo awkwardly asked, Sect Master Lin, can I have a word with you? Yi Mingwei, who was under the table, was startled. Lin Yu only felt a little prickle. Since you don't want to say it, then there's no need. How could I possibly talk to you in private right now? Yes, City Master Xiao. If you feel that Sui is a hindrance, then there's no need to speak. Shin Sui also mocked and ridiculed. Xiao Mo's old face twitched. Haha, it's nothing. Sect Master Shun can listen. In his heart, he thought that Lin Yu was still angry about him, so he didn't buy it. Xiao Mo felt helpless about this. His storage ring flashed, and countless brocade boxes and glory baths flew out. In the next moment, Xiao Mo's painful voice was heard. Sect Master Lin, I'm guilty. He pretended to be ashamed and said, that day, I listened to Zhang Lingyi's one-sided story and almost did something wrong to the low-key sect. This old man is here to ask for forgiveness from sect leader Lin. After saying that, Xiao Mo bowed and froze there. Shin Sui's eyes widened. No wonder this old man didn't say anything. He even wanted to kick her out. So he wanted to do such a shameless thing. Actually hiss. Lin Yu took a deep breath. After calming down, he said, the alliance between Loki sect and 9 luminaries Dragon Sealing City is over. City Master Zhao's choice is your business. Why do you need to explain it to me? This, Xiao Mo saw that Lin Yu didn't even look at the gifts and knew that this matter wouldn't be resolved so easily. He decided to use the hard way if the soft way didn't work. Sect Master Lin. Xiao Mo sighed. Tang Xin and Zhang Lingyi have already become engaged. I've also checked the Xin sect. Not long after Tang Xin went to the Xin sect, Zhang Lingyi also went there by chance. The two fell in love at first sight. As for the result, Sect Master Lin saw it. Lin Yu frowned. He knew this Xiao Mo before. This person was utilitarian and wasn't likable. Just say what you want to say. Xiao Mo quickly bowed again. Xiao Mo, was wrong about the promotion. However, it was also for Xen. At this moment, Shin Sui, as a woman, couldn't help but look down on him. City Master Xiao, if Tang Xin is really willing to marry Zhang Lingyi, can you explain why Zhang Lingyi came to the outer region and targeted Loki's sect? I'm wrong. I should say that Zhang Lingyi is targeting our sect Master Lin. As for the reason, everyone can see it clearly. Tang Xin and Sect Master Lin went through thick and thin together in the demonic beast forest. Xiao Mo's face turned even uglier. However, Shun Sui still didn't let it go. Even Tang Xion's prince status was given to her by a Sect Master Lin. Now that your 9 luminaries Dragon Sealing City has gained power, because of the prince, you disregarded Sect Master Lin's friendship and targeted his low-key sect. Enough. Xiao Mo couldn't take it anymore. Sect Master Shun, this is between me and Sect Master Lin. His face was ashen. Shun Sui snorted again. She knew why Xiao Mo was angry. Xiao Mo felt that he was in the wrong and couldn't refute her. That was the biggest reason. I've already said this. It's my fault. Although Xiao Mo's words sounded like he was apologizing, his tone wasn't apologetic at all. I hope that Sect Master Lin won't interfere with Tang Xin and Zhang Lingyi's matter. After hearing that, even Shun Sui fell silent. She immediately remembered Qing Qing's words. Lin, you couldn't be made an enemy of. Time and time again, Qing Qing's words were proven right. However, Shun Sui was still looking forward to Xiao Mo's warning in front of the young overlord of the outer region. What would happen? Are you done? Lin Yu's calm voice sounded. It was as if Xiao Mo's words couldn't shake his mind at all. Yes, Sect Master Lin. I know that Sect Master Lin is clear about kindness and hatred. Zhang Lingyi targeted you, so you'll take revenge. Xiao Mo thought that he had seen through Lin Yu. Interesting. Xiao Mo, do you think I dare to go against the Quasi-Emperor sect? No. Xiao Mo immediately shook his head. But even if Sect Master Lin interferes a little, Tang Xo might. Chapter 245. He, Shinsui couldn't help but laugh. Zhang Lingyi's presence can only mean one thing. His marriage with Tang Xian is definitely not something Tang Xian wanted. City Lord Xiao has watched Tang Xian grow up. You should know this better than us, right? Enough, Xiao Mo said angrily. I don't care if she's willing or not. This matter has already been decided. Please, City Lord Xiao, if there's nothing else, you can leave. Lin Yu's cold voice interrupted. Xiao Mo. Xiao Mo's eyes narrowed as he looked into the eyes of this young overlord. He couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine. Tang Xian's matter is between Dragon Sealing City and Xian Sect. After Lin Yu spoke, Xiao Mo heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you, Lin. However, Lin Yu interrupted him and continued, I can't guarantee Zhang Lingyi's matter. Sect Master Lin. Xiao Mo was stunned. If Lin Yu made a move, even if Xiao Mo thought that low-key sect was no match for Bodhi sect, it might deepen Zhang Lingyi's misunderstanding of Tang Xian. Lin Yu offended Bodhi sect because of a woman. In the end, the one who was affected was the Dragon Sealing City of the 9 luminaries. Zhang Lingyi could raise him to a high position. If Tang Xian really couldn't forget Lin Yu, then Xiao Mo's future would be miserable. Sect Master Lin, please reconsider. Don't you understand what I'm saying? As Lin Yu's domineering voice fell, Xiao Mo gritted his teeth and took a step forward. He wanted to use his Grand Supreme Realm aura to counter Lin Yu's aura. But in an instant, the great void dragon energy condensed into an emperor's aura and covered the entire hall. Xiao Mo felt goosebumps all over his back. This kid was not to be trifled with. If that's the case, I'll take my leave. Xiao Mo snorted and walked out of the hall, stepping into the air. From this moment on, even without Lin Yu saying anything, Shun Sui knew that Dragon Sealing City and Low-Key Sect had officially broken off their relationship. Sect Master Lin, don't be sad. Emperor Sect will always be on your side. Shin Sui hurriedly comforted her. Be gentle. Lin Yu gasped. He knew that it was Yi Mingyue's first time doing this under the table. She was very unfamiliar with it. Oh, what did you say? Only then did he turn to look at Shin Sui. Shin Sui smiled awkwardly. She could feel Lin Yu's spiritual sense hovering around him. It was as if his entire body was isolated by a wall of spiritual sense. It was strange. I'm here to apologize. On the day of the advancement battle, under the coercion of the Bodhi sect, my Emperor sect was unable to help the subtle sect. Her tone was sincere. With Xiao Mo as an example, she naturally knew Lin Yu's temper. If he used force, he would be courting death. It doesn't matter. I'm already satisfied that Emperor sect isn't like Dragon Sealing City. Shin Sui heaved a sigh of relief. I'm relieved that Lord Master Lin is magnanimous. The second thing is to discuss the alliance. Lin Yu smiled with interest. Qingqing asked you to come? In his impression, although Shun Sui's cultivation was higher than Qingqing's and she was ranked first in Emperor's sect, her strategy wasn't much. However, she was better than Xiao Mo in that she knew when to advance and when to retreat. She also respected her disciples' opinion. Qingqing is naturally more familiar with the sect master than me. She is also very supportive of the alliance. Shinsui didn't hide anything. Therefore, I came personally to listen to sect master's opinion on this matter. Lin Yu pressed his hand down and said, Have you heard of the saying that it's easy to break one piece of firewood, but not 10 pieces of firewood? Firewood? Shinsui looked at Lin Yu with a puzzled expression. What I mean is that Qingqing saw how domineering the Bodhi sect is and realized something, right? Shinsui bowed slightly. That's right. That girl said long ago that although the high-level sects seem like overlords in the outer domain, in the eyes of the inner domain and core disciples, these overlords are like ants. She said that only by constantly improving and not being satisfied with immediate benefits, and by uniting, the sect will progress. Lin Yu smiled. What else? Qingqing also said that Sect Master Lin's ambition isn't in the outer domain. If we can board the ship of the low-key sect, perhaps our Emperor sect will no longer be bullied by quasi-Emperor sections. Interesting, Qingqing is one of the few far-sighted people I've seen. Lin Yu nodded in satisfaction. When Shen Suyi was about to continue, he interrupted her. There is only one condition for the Emperor's sect to become a subsidiary of our low-key sect. Shen Suyi's words were forcefully choked back by Lin Yu. This kid seems to know what I'm going to say next, and deliberately preemptively. Shen Suyi thought that it was just as Qingqing said. Lin Yu was extremely ambitious and overbearing, but his ability was enough to support all of this. Sect Master Lin, can you take a step back? Shen Suyi asked sincerely. Lin Yu raised his hand, motioning for her to continue. Now in the low-key sect, there's the left and right emissaries who are comparable to Grand Elders, and the Dongwang sect master is also an elder. I'm afraid their strength is above our Emperor's sect. It's reasonable for our alliance to be led by the low-key sect. Shen Suyi sighed softly, but as the sect master, even if I form the alliance for the future of the Emperor's sect, I'm afraid that the disciples will be disappointed if the Emperor's sect disappears from now on. The corner of Lin Yu's mouth lifted. Did Qingqing prepare these words? Yes. Shen Suyi nodded without hesitation. She knew that she couldn't hide it from Lin Yu. Okay then, the Emperor's sect and the Cold Moon Palace will keep the original system. Sect Master Shun will be the sect master of the Emperor's sect and the 13th elder of the low-key sect. What do you think? Lin Yu's words were swift and decisive. Shen Suyi was filled with admiration. She bowed and nodded. Lin Yu asked again, is the Emperor's sect willing to follow me to the inner area? The Emperor's sect is willing to form the alliance, and of course, we are willing to follow the low-key sect. When do we leave? Tonight. So soon? Shen Suyi was stunned. Although she had expected this day, she didn't expect it to be so fast. The Emperor's sect's territory doesn't need to change. You just need to gather at the low-key sect before dark tonight. Hearing this, Shen Suyi felt that time was tight. She immediately bowed and prepared to leave. Can I come out now? Yi Mingyue's dry voice came from under the table. Your throat can't take it? Yi Mingyue blushed and swallowed. You know the answer. She stood up and sat on Lin Yu's lap. Are you satisfied with our young sect master? SOSO. Next time, I want to see your improvement. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Yi Mingyue snorted. You're still pretending to be obedient after getting benefits. I heard everything. You're amazing. In just a few sentences, your power has increased by quite a bit. Yi Mingyue wrapped her hands around Lin Yu's neck. But the 9 luminaries Dragon Sealing City's actions are too much. Chapter 246. It doesn't matter. Many people in the world are the same. But you're the one who gave Tang Xin the title of emperor. Now that the Dragon Sealing City of the 9 luminaries is benefiting from it, I hope you can swallow your anger. They didn't even consider that when the Bodhi sect was targeting you, the Dragon Sealing City of the 9 luminaries added insult to injury. Lin Yu pinched the angry beauty. Do you think the low-key sect is afraid of that? Yi Mingyue leaned on Lin Yu's shoulder. I'm worried about you. Others might not be worried, but I am. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to get out of the embarrassing situation. No, it's not just me. The entire low-key sect is behind you. If you want to declare war on the Dragon Sealing City of the 9 luminaries, we'll send our troops and massacre the city. As soon as Yi Mingyue finished speaking, Lin Yu pressed her hair down and hid her under the table. Just as she was about to speak, Sect Master, someone from the red dress gambling house wants to see you. A maid's voice came from outside the hall. Come in. Yi Mingyue realized that Lin Yu was protecting her, so she immediately repaid him. Greetings, Sect Master Lin. Su Hongyi's long dress landed on the ground. She walked into the hall and bowed. The matter of the gambling house has been settled. You can go to the inner district with the Sect Master. Very good. Lin Yu saw Su Hongyi's happy face. It seems that Boss Su has solved a problem. Sect Master, I can't hide anything from you, Redcoat. Su Hongyi smiled. I took the gambling house out for auction. A few shops fought fiercely over it, but I still made a fortune in the end. She then thanked him. It's all thanks to the Sect Master's advice. But I want to ask, are we going to the Bodhi sect directly? Of course not. The Bodhi sect's influence in the inner district couldn't be underestimated. Wouldn't it be a head-on clash? Even though Lin Yu might not lose, the price he had to pay was too high. On top of that, Lin Yu had something he could use against Madame Bodhi. The Bodhi sect wasn't that big of a threat yet, so Lin Yu wasn't in a hurry to deal with them. I have a small agreement with Yin Xiao Xiao of the Demon Floating Life sect. Lin Yu stroked his chin. Forget it. Let's go to the profound sect first. He thought that the situation in the celestial sect of wonders was probably not too good. With the personality of the leader of the celestial sect of wonders, why would he agree to the marriage of a girl who had just entered the sect to Zhang Lingyi? Lin Yu had been trapped here for 100,000 years. He remembered that the Black Heaven sect hated the people from the Bodhi sect the most. It all started from his relationship with Madame Bodhi many years ago. If something really happened to the Xiantian sect, he wouldn't mind letting the Xiantian sect owe him a big favor. Su Hongyi didn't refute Lin Yu's arrangement. I'll listen to Sect Master Lin. Since she had chosen to believe in Lin Yu, she would continue to believe in him. After Su Hongyi left the Great Hall, Yi Mingwei revealed her head again. I really can't take it anymore. Lin Yu smiled. Then you can go to the edge and rest first. I have other things to deal with. Yi Mingwei was surprised. Lin Yu's energy was too exuberant, wasn't it? Only Lin Yu knew that the aura of the Great Void 8 divisions in his body was constantly growing stronger, causing his masculine power to overflow. Venting it appropriately could balance the masculine power in his body, which was greatly beneficial to his Great Void 8 divisions, Abijna. Heiyu's Nightfall was too powerful and consumed too much energy. Lin Yu didn't want to use it casually. After Nightfall, the Dragonization chapter was his greatest trump card. Yi Mingwei pouted, wondering if Lin Yu had gone to find another woman. But she was a smart person, so she naturally wouldn't ask. After leaving, Lin Yu walked out of the Great Hall alone. At this time, the members of the low-key sect had already gathered at the edge under Qingji's arrangement. This sect master seems to be doing something big. I heard that sect master has the ability to move mountains and fill seas. Now that he's gathered all of us here, is he going to move the entire low-key sect away? That's possible. Grand Elder said that we're going to move the entire sect to the inner area. With sect master's ability, he's probably going to move the entire low-key sect to the inner area. Can he really do it? The more the disciples thought about it, the more shocked they were. Especially for those who grew up in the outer area. To their knowledge, there was only one way for someone from the outer area to go to the inner area, and that was to become a prince. Everything is arranged. Everyone in the building has been evacuated. Only the 2 guardian beasts are left. Qingji saw Lin Yu come out and immediately reported. But when she met Lin Yu's gaze, Qingji couldn't help but think of yesterday's matter and quickly lowered her head. He knew that Qingji couldn't communicate with the 8-winged demon emperor python and the extermination ape. You did well. I'll go to Little Monkey personally. Lin Yu's figure disappeared. Qingji wanted to follow, but Lin Yu was too fast. In an instant, Qingji gave up. Sect Master's skills are improving too fast. When Lin Yu appeared again, he was already alone in front of the flame cave. The flames here were formed after the death of an ancestor of the Raging Fire Temple who used the Raging Fire cultivation method as a foundation. Not only did the flames here not hurt people, but they could also help disciples temper their bodies and comprehend the Raging Fire cultivation method. Lin Yu felt that the ancestor of the Raging Fire Temple had some foresight. He knew to leave something for his descendants. It was a pity that the people behind him didn't improve, so it was useless. Little Monkey? Lin Yu sized it up and didn't respond. At the door, he noticed a trace on the ground. It was the trace of a python. No way. Lin Yu had a helpless premonition. He used his movement technique and instantly disappeared into the flame cave. Soon, he saw an ape and a python crawling on the ground and slowly separating. It wasn't hard for Lin Yu to imagine that the 2 beasts must have been entangled together a moment ago. Cough. Lin Yu coughed dryly. Seeing Lin Yu, Little Monkey immediately jumped up in fright. The demon emperor python also trembled and shrank its snake body. I didn't know you were a female. Lin Yu shrugged, and his gaze fell on the back of the 8-winged demon emperor python. After that kind of thing, you actually started to grow wings. He found it interesting. Why didn't he think of mixing these two terrifying beasts together in the beginning? One was an existence outside the five elements, and the other was an ancient great demon. Who knew? He might be able to fuse them into an even more interesting beast. No, no. How can I do it when they're of different races? Lin Yu quickly shook his head. But seeing the guilty and sweating appearance of the two beasts, it seemed that they had found the answer themselves. Forget it. I don't want to know this secret. He ordered Little Monkey. Lend me a drop of blood. Little Monkey immediately shook its head. It knew that Lin Yu was borrowing but not returning it, so it looked unwilling. Lin Yu was furious. Damn it. You don't listen to your master now that you have a woman? He stared at the Demon Emperor Python. Speak. Chapter 247. The eight-winged Demon Emperor Python shook its body and swung its tail at Little Monkey. Smack! The Little Monkey let out a wail and immediately jumped in front of Lin Yu, taking the initiative to stretch out its hand. Lin Yu tapped on its hand, and a drop of blood essence floated up. The blood essence emitted a burning sensation, causing the temperature of the surrounding space to rise as soon as it appeared. Lin Yu's storage ring flashed, and the annihilating universe staff appeared in his hand, fusing with the blood essence. This is still your staff, and only your blood can completely open the space inside. After saying that, Lin Yu stepped into the air. Little Monkey and Demon Emperor Python were very intelligent. It was not difficult for them to guess that Lin Yu was about to make a big move, so they immediately hid. At that moment, the others at the edge of the low-key sect also saw the figure of one man and one staff stepping into the air. Sect leader, it's about to begin. Why does that staff in his hand look so familiar? It looks like the pillar that held up the demonic beast forest. The annihilating universe staff emitted a bloodthirsty aura, especially after Little Monkey's blood essence entered the staff, causing a scarlet light to cover Lin Yu's body. After installing the Wind Moon Tree, I can control the space here to its limit. If not, I wouldn't need Little Monkey's blood essence to open up the remaining space. While thinking, Lin Yu waved the annihilating universe staff, and a majestic suction force appeared from the staff. In the next moment, Lin Yu let go of his hand, and the annihilating universe staff instantly enlarged. 10 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet. Boundless four directions. One staff equals the heavens. Lin Yu muttered a spell, and the low-key sect disciples were dumbfounded. All the palaces below began to shake. In an instant, the palaces left the ground, rose into the air, and were sucked into the annihilating universe staff's suction vortex. The sect leader really has the ability to move mountains and fill seas. Joining the low-key sect, my life has not been in vain. Many people knelt down and kowtowed. Clearly, in the outer realm, people worshipped the strong. Everything from the low-key sect was sucked into the heaven and earth nirvana staff. At this moment, the staff slowly shrank and fell into Lin Yu's hand. The veins on his hand immediately bulged. Lin Yu gritted his teeth and felt that the rod had become extremely heavy. Although the space inside was a world of its own, with the addition of the Wind Moon Tree, it was comparable to two large sects being carried inside. The weight seems to have exceeded the limit. Putting away the cosmic rod, Lin Yu's body could still work with it. However, he also knew that this was not a long-term solution. His cultivation is at the yin-yang realm, but his combat body and spiritual will are still at the transcendent realm. The two realms might seem the same in the eyes of outsiders, but only Lin Yu knew that there was a world of difference between the two realms. Yin-yang spiritual will. I have the spiritual will Great Emperor's purple cauldron and 100,000 years of storage. It's only a matter of time before I advance. Touching his chin, Lin Yu was thinking about his combat body. If I can snatch Patriarch Bodhi's most precious treasure, it might allow my combat body to enter the yin-yang realm. The Xian sect's treasure can also make me stronger. At that time, Lin Yu could truly attempt to break through to the Grand Supreme Realm with the three essences as one state. He would be the only person who entered the Grand Supreme Realm with the three essences as one state in the yin-yang realm. I'm curious. What kind of golden body would be formed with such a cultivation method? His current golden body was still borrowed. Even if it had the combat strength of an ordinary Grand Supreme realm, his own was still the best. There's also the power of the Grand Supreme. Would it be different from the power of the Grand Supreme in the star field? After stopping his thoughts, Lin Yu landed on the muddy ground. Looking in the other direction, the disciples on the edge had already boarded the warship prepared by Qin Jiji one after another. Sect Master, everyone is already boarded. Very good. Lin Yu nodded. He was also on the largest warship. Qin Ji came to him with Mei. The Sect Master wants to see you. After Qin Ji finished speaking, she tactfully left. At this time, next to Low-Key Sect, in the Jixiao Library on the sea. In the Imperial Preceptor's residence, Li swallowed as he saw Lin Yu take away Low-Key Sect with his own eyes. Crazy. My eyes must be playing tricks on me. How could he believe his eyes? A huge sect was not a spiritual artifact. How could he take it away just like that? I'm old. Li lowered his head and sighed. At the same time, 30 huge warships had already soared into the sky. This existence that had just been promoted to an advanced sect did not stop at all. It was heading in the direction of the World Crossing Gate. Guess why I asked you to come? In the spacious Sect Master's room, Lin Yu chuckled. Glancing at Lin Yu in annoyance, Charm snorted and said, You have something good to tell me? All right. Shrugging his shoulders, Lin Yu felt very innocent. Do I have such a bad impression in front of you? Yes. Looking at Lin Yu with an even more certain gaze, Mei nodded. Very bad. But when Lin Yu also looked at her, Mei looked away, as if she was afraid that Lin Yu would see through her true thoughts. I want you to do me a favor. Without beating around the bush, Lin Yu said directly, Help me open the World Crossing Gate. Sure. She didn't even have time to think before she agreed. But soon, she regretted it. No, thank you. Lin Yu stood up and walked out. Damn it. Mei's heart suddenly became uneasy. She had always been afraid that one day, Lin Yu would appear in front of New Ba and fight with the people of Hellgate. Only Lin Yu would continue to grow stronger. Mei knew that one day, he would be able to become an emperor-level sect. But she didn't want that day to come so soon. On the deck of the warship, Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back. The World Crossing Gate was not far away. In just a few hours, the mighty warship army had already arrived outside the gate. At the same time, in the dragon sealing city of the 9 luminaries, Xiao Mo also received the news. Say that again. He was flustered and exasperated. He didn't expect Lin Yu to move so quickly. City Lord, the news can't be wrong. The current territory of the Low-Key Sect is only a piece of broken land. The servant said with trepidation. Xiao Mo slapped the table. Where are they now? The World Crossing Gate. Hearing this, Xiao Mo heaved a sigh of relief and sneered. Arrogant brat. Doesn't he know that the World Crossing Gate needs to be in the Law Realm to open? City Lord, Lin Yu can't open the World Crossing Gate. Now that his hundreds of warships have arrived at the World Crossing Gate, won't he become a joke in the Outer Realm? Hearing the servant's words, Xiao Mo couldn't help but sneer. The young overlord of the Outer Realm has become a legend in such a short time. But today, he will soon become a joke. Xiao Mo stepped into the air. Let those hall masters follow me and see how embarrassing Lin Yu is when he passes through the World Crossing Gate. Chapter 248. City Lord, this isn't good. The servant was confused. He was once in the Demon Beast Forest and fell into trouble with Tang Xin. It was Lin Yu who saved them. What's good or bad? There's only value in this world. With a snort, Xiao Mo's expression became even more ferocious. 9 Luminaries' dragon sealing city has been suppressed for too long. This time, we can finally hold our heads high. I won't let anyone block our path. He stepped into the air and quickly approached the World Crossing Gate. At this moment, outside the World Crossing Gate, everyone from Low-Key Sect looked solemn. This is too big. This is my first time seeing the World Crossing Gate at such a close distance. For countless years, the behemoth that separated the inner and outer regions. Now, will the Sect Master open it? The Sect Master has the ability to move mountains, and fill seas. I believe he can do it. Everyone's gazes were all blocked by the boundless realm crossing gate. At this moment, on Loki's sect master's warship, Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back. Behind him were the left and right emissaries and the Emperor's sect. Shin-Sui stared at the world crossing gate. It was her belief in the outer region since she was young. Qing-Er, on the other side of the gate, is the inner region, the domain of the true powerhouses. Qing-Er, under the law, you're just an ant. Have you ever heard of this sentence? Shin-Sui didn't see Qing's response. She looked sideways and saw her peeking at Lin Yu. Cough. Shin-Sui coughed and felt a little sad. Heroes are short-tempered and love is long. Could it be that for a woman, love is more important than dominating the star region? Master, don't think too much. A bell-like voice interrupted Shin-Sui's thoughts. Qing's gaze was still on Lin Yu. I'm just curious. What method did he use to open the world crossing gate? Master is also curious. Saluting Lin Yu, Shin-Sui said politely, Sect Master, what are we waiting for? Nodding lightly, Lin Yu didn't look at Shin-Sui, because Mei was already standing in front of him, looking at him with a face full of resentment. Have you thought it through? A slightly worried voice came. Didn't you already know that this day would come? Lin Yu smiled. I know that no woman can stop your Tao. Only when this door was opened would the true battle for supremacy begin. I'm curious. Lowering her disappointed gaze, Mei said softly, if you had used the method you used to go to the four-direction star region, wouldn't you have been able to enter the inner region? Yes. She didn't hide it, but Lin Yu still knew what she wanted to ask. But that wouldn't be handsome. Boring. She glanced at Lin Yu in annoyance and snorted. I'll lend you the laws. Open the door. I don't want others to know my secret. Before Lin Yu could answer, he heard the sound of wind breaking behind him. Sect Master Lin, why didn't you tell me that you were leaving the outer region? As his voice fell, Xiao Mo had already arrived outside the crossing realm gate. What does that have to do with you? Lin Yu said calmly. Xiao Mo almost coughed when he heard that. Why didn't he say anything? This brat was really arrogant. I'm just curious. Sect Master Lin might not know a secret. Of course, not many people in the outer region know about it. Xiao Mo spoke halfway, and his old eyes fell on Lin Yu, sizing up his expression. But after waiting for a long time, he couldn't see any change in Lin Yu's mood. It was as if his words didn't interest Lin Yu at all. The secret is that the crossing realm gate requires the power of the laws to open. This is also the standard to distinguish the outer region from the inner region. The laws are the supreme power of the star region. Xiao Mo stared at Lin Yu again, but he still saw that the other party's expression was as calm as water. Knowing that opening the crossing realm gate was extremely difficult, shouldn't he be nervous now? Are you done? Glancing over, Lin Yu said, Are the laws very powerful? Hearing this, Mei gently pinched Lin Yu. If you want to take her, why did he have to brag? This was too much. But Lin Yu didn't care about Mei's little resistance. Instead, he looked at Xiao Mo with interest. At this time, Xiao Mo's expression suddenly became serious. You knew this secret long ago. He didn't believe that Lin Yu already possessed the power of the laws. But when Xiao Mo saw Lin Yu's calm appearance, his heart tightened and he asked again, Impossible. The three strongest people in the low-key sect are only at the Grand Supreme Realm. Could it be that you have a way to open it? Is that so? After smiling faintly, Lin Yu raised his hand. Suddenly, Xiao Mo's eyes widened. He saw a terrifying power shoot up from Lin Yu's palm and blast into the center of the crossing realm gate. Clang! A deafening sound came, and Xiao Mo only felt a stabbing pain in his ears. But what made his attention stop at this moment was the power in Lin Yu's hand. The laws. The true power of the laws. Impossible. You're in the law realm. Xiao Mo's entire world turned bad. This kid was a junior who participated in the monster beast forest at first. But now, how could he use the supreme power of the laws? The destruction law was incomparably domineering. It kept bombarding the crossing realm gate, emitting a loud sound that shook one's mind. Whether it's possible or not, you'll know when you see it. Before his voice could spread, Lin Yu's lips curled up. The crossing realm gate hundreds of feet away in front of him shook at this moment. Rumble. A thunderous sound shocked Xiao Mo's heart. He widened his eyes and saw an opening in the crossing realm gate. This, you're really in the law realm? Xiao Mo felt that his understanding was wrong from the beginning. Was this kid pretending to be a pig in front of him to eat a tiger? City Lord Xiao, do you have anything else to say? Lin Yu put away the laws. Beside him, Mei immediately closed her eyes and calmed the power fluctuations. Her injuries were much better. At least, she wasn't as weak as when she took away the romance tree. But Lin Yu still supported her. This made Mei's heart soften. It seemed that at this moment, any sacrifice was worth it. This old man was blind. Sect Master Lin, please don't take offense. Xiao Mo's back was drenched in sweat. If this kid was really in the law realm, then his life would be in Lin Yu's hands today. What else? A cold voice sounded. Lin Yu spoke again. Xiao Mo and the few people he brought with him immediately changed their expressions. Then 2 people knelt down. Sect Master Lin, we were wrong. Sect Master Lin, we deserve to die. We shouldn't have doubted you. Spineless things. Xiao Mo's old face kept twitching, but at this moment, he didn't dare to say anything to the 2 hall masters who were begging for mercy. Instead, he looked at Lin Yu with an unusually cold gaze. What about you? Lin Yu's voice sounded again. Thump. The sound of knees hitting the ground was heard. Xiao Mo was already kneeling on the deck. Sect Master Lin, this old man was wrong. Chapter 249. Lin Yu could not be bothered with him. Let's go in. Hundreds of subtle sects warships entered the realm crossing gate. Before leaving, many disciples looked at Xiao Mo with disdain. That old man is the sect master of a high-level sect. Did he come here to mock our sect master? Lu Wuhin smiled contemptuously. You're asking for it. A cold voice sounded. Long Lin did not even bother to look at Xiao Mo. Everyone from subtle sect entered the realm crossing gate. The rumbling sound came again. Xiao Mo and the others raised their heads and saw that the portal had already closed. Phew! Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Xiao Mo stood up with difficulty, but his old face was still red. Don't spread this matter. Yes, City Lord. The hall master behind him immediately nodded. The inner district, in the vast and boundless starry sky, it was even larger than the outer district. After everyone entered, they felt extremely comfortable with the starry sky glory chi. The glory chi here is much denser than the outer district. No wonder the people in the inner district are more powerful than us. With such a dense glory chi, wouldn't their cultivation speed be much faster than ours? Qin Ji bowed, slightly behind Lin Yu. Sect Master, where are we going next? To the profound sect to get something, and then to the Bodhi sect to get something, Lin Yu said indifferently. Glancing at Lin Yu in annoyance, Demon snorted softly. He must have gone to trick people again. However, as soon as Lin Yu finished speaking, a law realm aura suddenly descended from the sky above their warship. Lin Yu, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Everyone looked up and saw a crane spreading its wings. On it, a person dressed like a young master was looking down at Lin Yu and the others. Zhang Lingyi, the people from the Bodhi sect, are here. Su Hongyi's face turned pale as she spoke to Lin Yu. She then looked at the people beside Zhang Lingyi. That's the Great Guardian. Su Hong's lips trembled as she tugged on Lin Yu's sleeve. The Great Protector is at the law boundary and is the 3rd strongest person in the Bodhi sect. Nodding, Lin Yu said unhurriedly, I know. He then raised his head to look at Zhang Lingyi. Aren't you afraid that your mother will be unhappy that you invited Great Guardian, Su, to deal with me? Hearing Lin Yu's words, Zhang Lingyi felt even more annoyed. You brat, what is your relationship with my mother? Zhang Lingyi was furious, but after saying it out loud, he realized that he had been tricked by Lin Yu. This was not something that could be said openly. He was the one who was embarrassed. It's a long story. You can go back and ask your mother. Helplessly shaking him, Lin Yu sighed softly. Maybe after you ask, you will respect me even more. The word respect was used so cleverly that at this moment, everyone seemed to have the same story in their hearts. Damn it, my mother actually, Zhang Lingyi gritted his teeth. Elder Su, kill them for me. The Bodhisattva's great guardian's expression was already awkward. Young master, didn't you ask this old man to kill an unimportant person? Zhang Lingyi's face darkened. He is an unimportant person. Su Jinhai narrowed his eyes. But he and Madame seemed to what? Zhang Lingyi began to curse in his heart. If this knowledge were to spread, what would his status be like? Elder Su, you have to know that my father doesn't have much time left. In the future, the Bodhisattva will be handed over to me. Even my mother has no right to interfere. Zhang Lingyi was already determined to get rid of Lin Yu, but he had been tricked by Lin Yu's words from the beginning. Su Jinhai paused, and his gaze fell on Lin Yu. We've been waiting here for several days to kill you. Lin Yu, are you going to end your own life, or do you want me to do it? As Su Jinhai spoke, a terrifying pressure enveloped them. Several of the low-key sect's disciples trembled and coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. The others weren't much better off. Under the power of the law, their Yao Qi was infinitely suppressed. Do you want me to do it? Charm whispered to Lin Yu. If we fight here, I'm afraid many people will be injured. You have to be mentally prepared. I thought you were very smart. Lin Yu smiled faintly. I told you, there are some things that don't need to be done. I'm a peaceful person. With that, Lin Yu pulled Su Hongyi out with one hand. Su Jinhai, look at who this is. Lin Yu's voice rang out. Su Hongyi's heart trembled until she heard Lin Yu whisper in her ear. If you don't even dare to face these little ones, then don't even think about facing Madame Bodhi in the future. Su Hongyi clenched her teeth. I believe in Sect Master Lin. With that, she took a step forward and met Su Jinhai's gaze. Elder Su, long time no see. A calm but somewhat timid voice rang out. Su Jinhai's gaze fell on Su Hongyi, and his eyes immediately widened. Young miss. He stepped down and appeared on the battleship. You're really the young miss? Su Hongyi was a bit scared. Su Jinhai was extremely powerful and ranked third in the Bodhi sect. He's a good person. Lin Yu whispered into Su Hongyi's ear. Su Hongyi mustered up her courage. I'm Nanru Hongyi. Young miss, it's really you. Su Jinhai instantly lost his killing intent. At this moment, tears welled up in his old eyes. I've finally found a young miss in my lifetime. Su Hongyi was stunned. You're looking for me? I'm the one who found her, not you, Su Jinhai. Lin Yu's words interrupted Su Jinhai's thoughts. He gently clasped his fists. Thank you, sir. But how did you find the young miss? You don't have to worry about that. Lin Yu knew that he had to strike while the iron was hot. Hongyi followed me back to the inner region, but you, Su Jinhai, wanted to kill us here. His voice became more and more stern, causing Su Jinhai's heart to tremble. Su Jinhai, you've really let Madame Nanru down. I've sinned. Su Jinhai directly knelt down. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. It wasn't just the people from the low-key sect. Who would have thought that a lofty law realm expert would be kneeling in front of Lin Yu and Su Hongyi to beg for forgiveness? However, the one with the worst expression was Zhang Lingyi. Nanru Hongyi, he tightly clenched his fists. You're not dead. His voice wasn't loud, so no one heard him. The madam's kindness to me is as heavy as a mountain. After the madam left, the second madam took everything away from her. I've been at odds with Madame Beauty all these years. Young miss, please understand. After hearing this, Su Hongyi's head was already shaking. Then why are you here? I know that Madame Beauty was against the young master coming to deal with Lin Yu, so I went against her wishes and followed the young master. Su Jinhai hurriedly kowtowed again. I really didn't expect the young miss to be here. Chapter 250. Sect Master, Su Hongyi looked at Lin Yu, not knowing what to do. She no longer trusted anyone in the Bodhi sect after being on the run for so many years. He's loyal. Get up, Lin Yu said indifferently. Su Jinhai stood up as if relieved of a heavy burden. Thank you, young Master Lin. Su Jinhai turned to Su Hongyi. Young miss, where have you been all these years? The entire Bodhi sect has been looking for you. If I didn't leave, wouldn't I end up like my mother? Su Hongyi clenched her fists. Su Zhenhai naturally knew something. Young miss, come back with me. This old man will protect you with all his might until the patriarch comes out. No. Su Hongyi answered without thinking. She knew Madame Bodhi's ability. There was nothing in the entire Bodhi sect that she didn't know. Su Zhenhai alone might not be able to protect her. If something happened to her, wouldn't she be letting down her mother in the underworld? Lin Yu smiled and smoothed things over for her. We have other things to do, but can Protector Su help your young miss? Please speak, young master. Su Zhenhai could already see that Su Hongyi trusted Lin Yu very much. Spread the news that the Bodhi sect's young miss has returned. Su Zhenhai was stunned. If this news spreads, Madam might come looking for young miss personally. Madam will look for her, but Patriarch Bodhi will also know. Su Zhenhai was enlightened. Lin Yu knew that he understood. He looked up at Zhang Lingyi. Didn't you want to kill me? Why aren't you coming? Zhang Lingyi's face couldn't help but twitch when he heard this. Oh, right. Aren't you going to greet your sister when you see her? Seeing that Zhang Lingyi had lost his momentum, Lin Yu oppressed him again. Zhang Lingyi wanted to curse Lin Yu and even kill him. However, the current situation could be said to be strange. Su Zhenhai, the great protector he had brought with him, had the combat strength of the Law Realm, but he had surrendered so easily. Seeing him and Nan Ruhong's appearance, Zhang Lingyi knew that he couldn't speak carelessly. I'm naturally happy that big sister is back. Zhang Lingyi no longer dared to reveal that murderous expression. Instead, he smiled faintly and said gently, Sister, why don't you come back with me? Mother hasn't seen you in a long time. Su Hongyi was stunned. This was too fast. She had thought that after returning to the inner area, she would have to go through a series of twists and turns before she would meet the people from the Bodhi sect again. But that was obviously not the case. Zhang Lingyi wanted to kill Lin Yu. Lin Yu could tell that Su Zhenhai was a good person. He didn't betray her mother and helped her regain her lost ground. Go back so that your mother can make a move on me? Su Hongyi replied coldly to Zhang Lingyi. She also hated this half-brother of hers. Su Hongyi always felt that this younger brother of hers had nothing to do with her, because she had never felt the warmth of a family member from him. Uncle Su, you can go back first. Su Hongyi wouldn't go against Lin Yu's decision. Then I'll do as young Master Lin said, and report this matter to the Patriarch. Su Zhenhai was still a little worried. Miss, remember to return to the Bodhi sect. This old man will wait for you there. Okay. Su Hongyi nodded. Seeing this, Su Zhenhai didn't say anything else. After saluting Lin Yu, he stepped into the air. Young master, this old man will do as you say. However, before the Patriarch comes out of seclusion, I hope that you can protect the first Mississippi, Su Zhenhai said respectfully. Go. Lin Yu waved his hand. Su Zhenhai didn't even pay attention to Zhang Lingyi as he hurried toward the Bodhi sect. Great Guardian, wait for me. Zhang Lingyi stood on the red-crowned crane with an embarrassed expression. Ha! Lin Yu, count yourself lucky this time. With that, he prepared to step into the air and leave. Wait. Lin Yu's voice rang out. Zhang Lingyi was startled and immediately stepped on the red-crowned crane. However, before the red-crowned crane could flap its wings, it couldn't move at all, because an ape was sitting on the right side of its wings at some point in time. On the other side, a 7-colored python was also wrapped around its wings. The red-crowned crane trembled as it sensed the terrifying auras emitted by the ape and the monster emperor python. There was also Zhang Lingyi, who had originally wanted to resist, but at the same time, 3 Grand Supreme auras immediately pressed down from above his head. They were Qin Wunyan, Dongwang Feiyu, and Shun Suyi. In front of Zhang Lingyi, Yang Kai raised his hand. There was no sword in his hand, but sharp sword chi was constantly gathering from the starry sky. Wait. Zhang Lingyi gasped. He didn't need to make a move to know that he couldn't beat this group of people. Lin Yu, I'm the successor of the Bodhi sect. Asterisk pa. Asterisk, as soon as his voice fell, he heard a slap on the right side of his face. You dare to hit me. Zhang Lingyi kept retreating as he raised his hand and pointed at Lin Yu. He had never suffered such humiliation in his life. I could do whatever I want in this star field. You, Before he could say the word die, Zhang Lingyi heard the right side of his face burning again. It was the same place again. I was wrong. Looking at Lin Yu's eyes, which were so calm that it was terrifying, Zhang Lingyi immediately gave in. Let me go this time, and I will repay you in the future. Are you afraid of death? Lin Yu smiled faintly. Zhang Lingyi gritted his teeth and nodded. How could he dare to disagree? He kept cursing Su Zhenhai in his heart. Not only did he leave, but he also took his 2 Grand Supremes with him. He was now alone and helpless. What else could he do other than being beaten by Lin Yu? Your mother doesn't know you're here, right? Lin Yu asked again. Zhang Lingyi immediately shook his head. Mother knows. She will be here soon. Is that so? Slowly raising his hand, Lin Yu raised his brow again. I was wrong. Zhang Lingyi knelt down and shook his head. Mother didn't come. She doesn't know I'm here at all. Very good. Lin Yu put down his hand. Second question, what's going on between you and Tang Xian? Tang Xian, Zhang Lingyi paused. Tang Xian and I are truly in love. Nonsense. Lin Yu smiled coldly. Would she like you? Lin Yu, you've gone too far. I'm the successor of the Bodhi sect, the future leader of a boundary emperor-level sect. Zhang Lingyi wanted to refute, but when he met Lin Yu's gaze, for some reason, Zhang Lingyi had never seen such a terrifying gaze before. It was not a ferocious or cruel gaze. It was a kind of calmness. It was as if Lin Yu would not feel anything even if he killed Zhang Lingyi now. Tang Xian. So what if Tang Xian doesn't want to? Si Junlin has already promised me. Zhang Lingyi gritted his teeth. Since you dare to come to the inner district, you should know the people there. Si Junlin is different from me. He is in charge of the celestial sect. He has real power in his hands. Chapter 251. Si Junlin, rubbing his chin. Lin Yu suddenly felt that things were getting more and more interesting. It seems that something must have happened to the Black Heaven sect for this son to act so recklessly. Raising an eyebrow at Zhang Lingyi, Lin Yu asked again, what's the condition? Condition? Zhang Lingyi was stunned. Nonsense. You want Tang Xian, but Si Junlin is not that easy to deal with. Before Lin Yu could slap his face, Zhang Lingyi had already answered truthfully, the Bodhi heart. Si Junlin wants the Bodhi heart. Damn it, Zhang Lingyi. Do you know that the Bodhi heart is the lifeline of the Bodhi sect? Su Hongyi was so angry that her face flushed red. Zhang Lingyi wanted to refute, but Lin Yu was here. 3 Grand Supremes and Yang Kai, who could fight against Grand Supremes in the way of the sword. Did he dare to say anything? Do you think you can decide this? Lin Yu asked again. I can't. I only secretly promised him that I would give him the Bodhi heart once I ascend the throne. Zhang Lingyi, Madame Bodhi didn't raise you for nothing. Lin Yu was too lazy to look at him. Seeing this, Kaiyan also stepped aside to make a path. The little monkey and the demon emperor python disappeared from the wings of the red-crowned crane at the same time. You're letting me go? Zhang Lingyi felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. However, at the same time, a bloodline shot into his chest. Let's go. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he no longer looked at Zhang Lingyi. His movements were so fast that no one saw it. As for Zhang Lingyi, he only saw a flash of red light for a moment. He didn't even feel it. He was surprised, but he didn't think much of it. Only Lin Yu knew that the blood sacrifice heart refinement had been laid. From this moment on, Zhang Lingyi's life was in his hands. Sect Master, where are we going next? Qin Ji asked. Profound sect. Let's see what Si Junlin is up to. Even as the words left his mouth, an aura that surpassed that of Chief Dharma Protector Su Zhenhai suddenly appeared from the battleships. Lin Yu, Mei Yangkai, Dongwang Feiyu. At this moment, all of the top forces present felt a sense of crisis. You sure came quickly. Lin Yu narrowed his eyes. What's that? Mei stood beside Lin Yu in fear. She raised her head and looked into the starry sky. A vortex had expanded to more than 100,000 zhang. Within the vortex, a terrifying aura gushed out like a waterfall. That aura, it's him. Yang Kai's eyes turned solemn. Even he felt a sense of crisis. Furthermore, he had encountered that aura before. What surprised him the most was how it had become so powerful in such a short period of time. At this moment, the same name appeared in the hearts of everyone from the southern border. The Wind and Moon Fairies, Xia Bing, Sword Fanatic, and the others. Cultivation Celestial Emperor. Once you enter the inner area, you will be in the territory of the Emperor Gate. Everything here will be easily detected by the Emperor Gate starfield. Yang Kai said solemnly, his entire body's sword chi exploding. It wasn't that the Emperor Gate starfield couldn't detect everything in the outer area. It was just that the outer area was too weak and wasn't qualified to be monitored by the Emperor Gate starfield. But it was different here. From the moment Lin Yu took the first step, this power had already locked onto him. In other words, Heaven Emperor Xiao had been waiting for Lin Yu to come. In addition to Yang Kai, on the other side, Right Envoy Qin Wu Yin and all the elders above the invincible realm had gathered their strength. Within the vortex, an eye suddenly opened. It was as if a god was looking down on the earth from the heavens. You've grown up. Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back and smiled, without the slightest fear. Even though he felt the pressure of the third heavenly layer of the law realm under this vortex, that pressure had already made his cultivation unstable. And he knew that he could lose in terms of combat power, but he couldn't lose in terms of momentum. You can't shake me anymore. My growth has surpassed yours. There seemed to be a voice coming from those eyes that penetrated into the minds of everyone below. If you're really confident, why didn't you come with your real body? Lin Yu raised his hands with a helpless look on his face. A soul clone is enough. The voice rang out again, and a black finger that covered the sky and covered the sun slowly stretched out from the vortex. The moment this black finger appeared, Yang Kai and the others rushed out. Yang Kai and everyone else had already rushed forward, but a world principle rumbled from the black finger. All the invincible realm cultivators coughed up a mouthful of blood. Qin Ji and Yao Gu all turned pale. Even Qin Wu Yin and Dong Wang Fei, you were directly crushed by the principle, and their golden bodies were directly crushed, the power of their Grand Supreme dissipating in all directions. I'll go. May gritted her teeth, but Lin Yu grabbed her wrist. You can't. This is the person you want to deal with? Mei looked at Lin Yu in shock and shook her head. Lin Yu, you are not his opponent. I have never seen such a strong aura. This aura is even stronger than New Boss. But she didn't expect Lin Yu to be so excited. So what if it's stronger than New Boss? Mei heard the most arrogant words. At this moment, the world extinguishing staff appeared in Lin Yu's hand. All of you come in. Lin Yu's voice echoed in all directions. The moment the black finger fell, subtle sect and the 100 warships were all submerged into the world extinguishing staff. What are you trying to do? Mei suddenly had a bad feeling. Of course I'm going to take this finger. Mei still wanted to speak, but the world extinguishing staff flashed red, and her whole body was submerged in it. The weight of the world extinguishing staff increased again, but Lin Yu didn't have time to care about this. Instead, he raised his head and looked at the thing that had blocked all his vision. The Heavenly Emperor's finger. He pressed 2 fingers between his eyebrows, and all the aura in his body gathered there at this moment. His 3 elements merge realm, his secret art, all disappeared at this moment. In an instant, Lin Yu was like an ordinary person, but a pair of pitch-black wings spread out behind him. Yi Luo. Darkness descended. Within 100,000 feet, there was no light at all. Outside the world crossing gate, a deafening roar resounded. After a long time, only then did the starry sky regain its calm. In the vortex, Celestial Emperor Xiao's vertical pupils searched back and forth, but he couldn't find any trace of Lin Yu. I can't believe you can still stop me. A voice filled with indignation sounded. The vortex disappeared. Several 100,000 feet away from the world crossing gate, above the Shin Sect star, Lin Yu's figure suddenly appeared. He held the world extinguishing staff in his hand, but immediately after, Lin Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked dispirited, and he no longer had the strength to hold the world extinguishing staff. He stepped into the air, and his whole body fell from the sky above the Xian sect. When he woke up again, he was already on a warm straw mat. Lin Yu touched his head. This time he really almost died. Yi Luo had exhausted all his strength to withstand the power of the Celestial Emperor's finger. However, the aftermath of the battle was already too much for his combat body to bear. Lin Yu prepared to sit up from the straw mat, wanting to know where he was. "Don't move, you're badly hurt." Chapter 252. A childlike voice rang out. Before Lin Yu could react, he was pushed off the bed. Hiss! He sucked in a deep breath, feeling as if his entire body was being torn apart. "I'm sorry, did I hurt you?" Lin Yu looked towards the source of the voice and saw a girl about 12 or 13 years old. "Mu Qingqing," Lin Yu blurted out. Mu Qingqing was shocked. "How? How do you know my name?" "Not only do I know, I also cough." Lin Yu couldn't help but cough. His injuries were too severe, and it wasn't suitable for him to think about those things. "Am I in the Mu residence of the Xian sect?" Lin Yu looked at the surrounding environment and said, "How do you know?" Mu Qingqing nodded. "I've never seen you before, but why do you seem so familiar with this place?" Lin Yu didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry, I forgot that you were injured." Mu Qingqing said apologetically as she covered Lin Yu with a blanket. Perhaps it was because she was still young. Although this girl wasn't a stunning beauty, she still had a childish look on her face. However, her skin was fair and her figure was excellent. It wasn't hard to imagine that if she lost her childishness in 2 years, she would become an enchanting beauty. "Mu Qingqing, where are you hiding, you bastard?" A woman's vulgar voice came from outside the room. Mu Qingqing panicked. "I'll go out for a while. Don't move." She didn't forget to show concern for Lin Yu before quietly opening the door. "Second mother, why are you looking for me?" Mu Qingqing bowed respectfully. In front of her was a middle-aged woman who was dressed very elegantly, a stark contrast to Mu Qingqing's simple appearance. She was glaring at Mu Qingqing. "What's the matter? I heard that you picked up a man from the trash. Is that true?" The middle-aged woman stared viciously at Mu Qingqing. "Let me tell you, you're too early. If I, Shui Yu, hadn't helped your father, you wouldn't be valued by the Xian sect. If you dare to secretly hide a man and ruin the reputation of our Mu clan, I will kill you. If I, Shui Yu, want to kill you, even your father wouldn't dare to say anything. Do you understand?" "Second mother, I understand." Mu Qingqing nodded her head while her back was covered in cold sweat. Nothing in the Mu clan could escape Shui Yu's eyes. However, before Mu Qingqing could finish speaking, she was pushed away by the servant girl behind Shui Yu. "Go in and see if there's a man." "Second mother." Mu Qingqing did not expect that Shui Yu would suddenly let people barge in. Of course, she knew that she couldn't leave Lin Yu here. However, Lin Yu had fainted in the back courtyard of the Mu residence. How could she just leave him to die? Mu Qingqing's face was pale. It's over, it's over. If that young master is caught, he will be beaten to death by second mother." But soon, Shui Yu's maidservant walked out and said a few words to Shui Yu. "Consider yourself lucky. Be careful in the future." Shui Yu snorted coldly and left with his men. Strange, they didn't notice that young master? When Mu Qingqing saw them leave, her entire body relaxed. This was the back courtyard of the Mu residence. As the daughter of the Mu clan, she shouldn't be staying here. However, her mother had died early and her father had been busy with the matters of the profound sect. Shui Yu was the eldest in the family. During this period, she had been targeting Mu Qingqing. Mu Qingqing pushed open the door, but did not see anyone on the bed. "Where's the young master?" Mu Qingqing looked around, but did not see any trace of Lin Yu. "Shoo!" Suddenly, a hiss came from behind her. Mu Qingqing turned around and saw Lin Yu falling from the roof. His aura was weak. Mu Qingqing subconsciously caught him. "Young master, how did you get up there? How could he still fly up with such a heavy injury?" Mu Qingqing did not even dare to think about it. However, she couldn't care less. She immediately carefully helped Lin Yu onto the bed. "Young master, how are you?" Lin Yu shook his head. "I can still hold on." "Oh right. Did you see the staff in my hand before I fainted?" Mu Qingqing nodded. That staff is at the door of the back courtyard. However, it's too heavy. I wanted to bring it in for you, but I couldn't lift it at all. Her apologetic words made Lin Yu smile. Very few people pass by the back courtyard. Fine, I'll leave it there for now. However, his battle strength had not recovered yet. For the time being, he could not open the space of a Nirvana universe staff and let the others out. Forget it. There's a small world inside. I'll let them live there for a while. Lin Yu knew that he could not force himself anymore. He looked at his storage ring. His divine sense was damaged. It seemed that he could not open the medicinal herbs and luminous bark in the storage ring. Aren't you going to ask me where I came from and how I got injured? Lin Yu asked Mu Qingqing. The latter shook her head. Wait until your injuries are better. Young master doesn't seem like a bad person. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. You're too kind. What? Mu Qingqing was stunned. She did not understand Lin Yu's meaning. Shui Ryu wants to kill you. You should know that, right? Although his face was pale, Lin Yu still wanted to remind Mu Qingqing. I know. Mu Qingqing lowered her head and carefully brought a cup of water. Although I don't know who young master is, you're right. However, even if Shui Ryu wants to kill me, what can I do? Mu Qingqing smiled indifferently. Lin Yu remembered that she was only in her early 20s. However, she already felt helpless about life. Mother died early. Father is not like before. Mu Qingqing's eyes reddened. She raised her sleeve and wiped her eyes. I've made a fool of myself. What about you? Do you want to get rid of Shui Ryu? Lin Yu asked tentatively. In the 100,000 years that he was trapped, he had met Mu Qingqing. They even had an interesting relationship. However, now that they met again, Lin Yu could not help but sigh. Mu Qingqing widened her almond eyes and shook her head. Young master, don't speak nonsense. If second mother hears it, whether she hears it or not, she will find a chance to kill you and take over everything in the Mu residence. Lin Yu glanced at Mu Qingqing. Can you tell me what happened in the Xian sect? Mu Qingqing was stunned. Why do you say that? I heard that your father does love you. Now that Shui Ryu has placed you in a servant's place, it can be seen that he has no time to spare. When Mu Qingqing heard this, she was shocked. Young master? Who exactly is young master? My name is Lin Yu. I come from a very distant star field. If he said the outer field and the four-direction star field, he would need to explain further. But young master, why do you know so much about our Mu residence? Mu Qingqing looked at Lin Yu warily. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. She immediately pulled out a dagger from the side of the bed and held it to Lin Yu's neck. Chapter 253. The current Lin Yu did not have the strength to resist her. He did not even have the strength to summon the system to reset time. Are you a bad person or not? A trembling voice came out. Lin Yu had a helpless look on his face. He was afraid that Mu Qingqing would really kill him while trembling. If that happened, his reputation would be ruined here. Lin Yu suddenly felt a little regretful. If he did not test Lin Xiu's current strength and resist the Heavenly Emperor finger, he could actually use the teleportation array to escape. If I say that I'm a bad person, would you dare to kill me? Lin Yu's voice suddenly turned cold. He could not rely on his strength. He could only rely on his mouth. Fortunately, this was one of his specialties. I dare. You're really a bad person. Mu Qingqing's body tensed up subconsciously. She had placed the dagger under the bed for a long time, just for self-defense. However, he had never thought that he would actually be able to put it to use. As long as you say that you're not a spy from the other 7 prefectures, I'll let you live. Mu Qingqing said again. I am. Lin Yu glanced at her. Kill me. You. Mu Qingqing was so scared that tears flowed down. Don't lie to me. Would a spy tell you that he's a spy? Lin Yu's tone became gentler. Hearing this, Mu Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief. Are you lying to me? Too lazy to explain. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. You dare to kill me. Why don't you dare to resist Shui Ryu? Answer my question first. Mu Qingqing looked at Lin Yu stubbornly. Are you a spy from the 7 prefectures or not? Including the Mu residence, Xian sect had a total of 8 prefectures and could be considered the 8 branches of the Xian sect's master. I'm not. Lin Yu rubbed his brows. He remembered that this little girl was kind, but she was too serious. Mu Qingqing was like a deflated balloon as she put down the dagger. There was a moment of silence in the room. Lin Yu didn't pay any attention to her. Instead, he made use of the time to heal himself. However, all of his internal organs had been severely damaged by the celestial Thearcha's finger. He couldn't even circulate his obsidian energy. Seeing that he couldn't use the methods of a cultivator to heal himself, Lin Yu could only fall into a deep sleep. When he woke up again, the night had already seeped through the window. The moonlight was cut into bits and pieces by the window paper, reflecting in this simple room. You're awake? Mu Qingqing's voice sounded. Seeing her tired face, Lin Yu guessed that this woman had been by his side the whole time. This is your bed. Lie down and sleep too. Hearing this, Mu Qingqing's face turned red, and she pretended not to hear Lin Yu's words. She brought over a bowl of medicine. Young master, please drink it. Mu Qingqing saw that Lin Yu couldn't even get up, so she took a spoon and fed him mouthful by mouthful. Although this medicine was not as good as alchemy, Lin Yu could only eat this for now. Young master, is it hot? Lin Yu shook his head. Where did you get this medicine? I bought it, of course. After Mu Qingqing finished speaking, Lin Yu swallowed a mouthful. This medicine costs at least 100 obsidian. Do you have the money to buy it? He knew Mu Qingqing's current status in the Mu clan. It was probably unrealistic for her to take such a small amount of medicine. I have some private savings. Mu Qingqing lowered her head. I will repay you. Lin Yu sighed. He guessed that this was probably the last of Mu Qingqing's savings. He drank the soup in large gulps. But just as Lin Yu was about to continue resting, he heard a man's voice outside the door. Mu Qingqing, open the door. Before Mu Qingqing could react, the door was kicked open. Wow, she really did hide a man? Big brother, Madam will definitely be grateful to us now. If we can kill this girl, we'll have good days ahead. Actually, it doesn't matter if there's a man or not. What's important is that Mu Qingqing is ours tonight. The three of them looked at each other and said something. After entering, they closed the door themselves. Don't let anyone outside hear us. Big brother, you're too cautious. Even the servants don't want to come here. Who would pass by here? Mu Qingqing's face was already pale. How could she bear it? These three were Shui Ruyu's subordinates in the Mu clan. Normally, they would help her deal with those who opposed her. But she didn't expect them to cause trouble for her tonight. This young master is injured. He's only staying here temporarily. Mu Qingqing hurriedly explained. When the three saw Lin Yu's dying appearance, they sneered. So he's a cripple. Big brother, how can a cripple have sex? Then it's not easy to kill Mu Qingqing. The three of them looked at each other and laughed at the same time. If he can't have sex, we'll help him. Hearing this, Mu Qingqing's face was as pale as paper. She was so frightened that she hurriedly retreated. But the three of them were even faster. They blocked Mu Qingqing's path. Soon, Mu Qingqing was forced into a corner. We'll help you have sex, then send you and this cripple to Madam. Then, this matter will be settled. Young Miss of the Mu clan, the future of US Three Brothers is in your hands. Mu Qingqing was so frightened that tears welled up in her eyes. No, save me, save me. Don't worry, continue shouting. Everyone in the Mu clan is on our side. Let's see who dares to help you. Wait, big brother. Why do I feel more excited the more she calls me? The three of them couldn't help but laugh. One of them pressed his hand on Mu Qingqing's shoulder. When Mu Qingqing hurriedly dodged, the chiffon on her shoulder was pulled down by the other party, causing it to fall off. Her white and exquisite collarbone and shoulder were exposed. She's only in her teens, but she's already so attractive. Brothers, let Big Brother go first. Big Brother, you're too selfish. Can't the three of us do it together? The three of them continued to approach the helpless Mu Qingqing. The latter was pressed against the wall. She didn't even have a way to escape. In fact, the three of them didn't expect that they would encounter such a good thing. After all, they didn't expect that Shui Ruyu would touch Mu Qingqing so quickly. Hey, a helpless voice sounded. Lin Yu glanced at them. The three of them turned around and heard Lin Yu say, "I'm here. Can't you give me some face?" "What?" The three of them looked at each other and laughed at the same time. "We're giving you face, but you still want face? This brat dares to be so arrogant. Big brother, enjoy Mu Qingqing first. I'll go teach him a lesson." After one of them finished speaking, he walked towards Lin Yu. "Young master." Mu Qingqing's eyes couldn't stop crying. Of course, she knew that Lin Yu was injured. He couldn't even move. How could he be a match for these people? "My young miss, you seem to be very concerned about this brat. Since that's the case, we'll do you a favor. As long as young miss cooperates with us, this brat can keep his life. How about it?" Hearing this, Mu Qingqing's little mouth trembled. "Do you want to take it off yourself? Or do you want us to help you?" The leader's voice sounded. It was like the devil's talisman, shaking Mu Qingqing's soul. Chapter 254. She raised her trembling hand and saw that one of them was getting closer to Lin Yu. She gritted her teeth. "Shui Ryu wants to deal with me. It has nothing to do with young master. Let young master go. I'm willing to do anything." Mu Qingqing knew that these people would not let her go. Since she could not escape, why should she harm Lin Yu? As she spoke, Mu Qingqing's other shoulders slowly slid down. The two people in front of her were grinning from ear to ear. Their four eyes were fixed on the thing that was about to appear from Mu Qingqing. However, the next moment, they heard a figure fall to the ground. The two of them were stunned. They turned around and saw that the person who went to find Lin Yu had fallen to the ground and was motionless. Third brother, what happened to you? Second brother stepped forward to check. Dead. He's dead. Damn it. How dare you kill my brother? The two of them charged toward Lin Yu at the same time. However, under the soul-devouring technique, only two corpses with their divine senses were left on the ground. Lin Yu slowly sat up. Now his divine sense could finally open his storage ring. Lin Yu took out a few pills and consumed them at the same time. He also stored the three corpses in his storage ring. Who are you? Mu Qingqing stared at Lin Yu in fear. Lin Yu was currently sitting cross-legged. The powerful medicinal power was continuously fusing into his body. His aura was also gradually recovering. The three of them did not return a report. Shui Ryu will send more people, Lin Yu said indifferently. He did not open his eyes. Instead, he focused on recovering from his injuries. It was not easy for a few divine senses to come to him. Lin Yu knew that such an opportunity was not easy to come by. Mu Qingqing saw that Lin Yu's aura was getting closer and closer. It had already surpassed her samsara realm. However, that was all. Lin Yu stopped meditating. When he stood up, he could feel the bones in his body creaking. The damage to my combat body is still too severe. Lin Yu sighed. He felt that he needed to strengthen his combat body. Mu Qingqing opened the door. Another icy cold voice sounded out from outside the door. It was Shui Ryu. Hearing this, Mu Qingqing asked Lin Yu to hide, but the latter ignored her. Open the door. We have to face what's coming. But Mu Qingqing was afraid, but Lin Yu waved his hand, and the door opened. Shui Ryu, come in. His cold voice sounded. Not only was Mu Qingqing shocked, even Shui Ryu, who was outside the door, was stunned. All right, Mu Qingqing, you be Astra-starred. You really hit a man. Behind Shui Ryu, a middle-aged man stood with his hands behind his back, his expression cold. Shui Hai, kill this man for me. The man called Shui Hai was clad in grayish-white armor. With a single step, he stepped into Mu Qingqing's room. He saw Lin Yu standing there. Where are the others? Dead. Lin Yu smiled. Then you're dead too. After Shui Hai finished speaking, the sound of metal clashing against metal could be heard. Lin Yu casually raised his hand and pointed at a spot on Shui Hai's armor. His speed is actually faster than mine. Shui Hai's eyes widened, but he despised Lin Fan in his heart. Idiot! You can actually break the armor of the Mu clan with your bare hands? But in the next moment, with a bang, Lin Yu's two fingers sank into the armor. The seemingly invulnerable armor actually started to make cracking sounds at this moment. How is this possible? Shui Hai's eyes widened, and he kept retreating. At this time, Lin Yu had already retracted his hand. His chi and blood were surging, but he looked calm on the surface. He said, "The armor of the Mu family is made of the best deep-sea refined iron, soaked in the lava of Yanshan and hammered 49 times." Who are you? Shuaihai's heart was in turmoil. This was the Mu clan's forging technique. How did an outsider know about it? He immediately thought of Mu Qingqing, but Shuaihai remembered that even Mu Qingqing didn't know about this forging technique. In the entire Mu clan, only the Mu clan's patriarch, Mu Qingqing's father, Mu Zhan, knew about it. Shuaihai and Shui Ruyu. It's a pity that this forging technique seems good, but it has a fatal weakness. Lin Yu spoke again. What weakness? If Lin Yu hadn't made a move previously, Shuaihai wouldn't have cared about what he said. However, he saw Lin Yu break the armor with his own eyes. How could he not care? That was the Mu clan's lifeline. If he could break it with his bare hands, how could the Mu clan establish themselves in the Xian sect? Are you Shuaihai or Mu Hai now? Lin Yu suddenly changed the topic. Shuaihai's face darkened. Who are you? How do you know about me? I'm just reminding you that Mu Zhan placed you beside Shui Ruyu and even made you take her surname. Don't forget about that. Shuaihai's face was extremely ugly. He said angrily, I've always been Mu Hai. I've never forgotten. But what are you doing tonight? Lin Yu questioned again. Shuaihai's gaze fell on Mu Qingqing. If the Xian sect changes, the Mu clan will be implicated. The patriarch has already made a decision. Only the Shui clan can help the Mu clan. Understood. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Then I should know the weakness of the Mu clan's armor, right? Don't be hasty. This isn't something you can listen to. Let Mu Zhan come find me personally. Shuaihai was stunned. You're an unknown person, and you're still in the young miss room. How can I trust you? So what if you don't trust me? Lin Yu's gaze fell. Shuaihai immediately felt as if he had fallen into an endless cold hell. There was actually such a terrifying gaze in this world. Shuaihai was shocked. He had been in the Mu clan for many years. With his unconquerable realm cultivation, he suppressed everyone in the clan and became the Mu clan's #1 general. But he had never seen such a gaze from Lin Yu. Chapter 255. Lin Yu warned again, I don't have much patience. Go. Shuaihai gritted his teeth. You've hidden your strength well. My Mu residence has an important guest, but I only found out now. This is my dereliction of duty. He purposely raised his voice, obviously for Shui Ruyu to hear. I'll go ask the Mu residence master now. However, the Mu residence master is not in the residence now. I'll invite him here tomorrow morning. Shuaihai bowed and left the room respectfully. This scene fell into Shui Ruyu's eyes, and she was stunned on the spot. What's going on? Why didn't you kill him? This person is not someone I can deal with. Madam, please find someone else. Shuaihai's cold words made Shui Ruyu's heart tighten. Shuaihai, what do you mean? Shui Ryu said angrily, but Shuaihai kept walking. He's not someone I can deal with. This was the first time she heard the Mu residence's #1 general think so highly of an opponent. Moreover, Shuaihai's attitude towards her had become so cold. After the two left, Mu Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief and collapsed on the chair. However, Lin Yu felt something sweet in his throat. He had warned Shuaihai forcefully and aggravated his injuries, causing them to erupt at this moment. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and Mu Qingqing was so frightened that she immediately went up to support him. You haven't recovered from your injuries? It's not that easy to recover. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. Mu Qingqing naturally did not know where his injuries came from. Those were injuries caused by the 3rd level of the laws. If Mu Zhan comes tomorrow, listen to me. You don't have to be afraid. Lin Yu reminded her and fell into a deep sleep. Seeing this, Mu Qingqing felt helpless. Where am I going to sleep? She lay on a table, and after a while, she fell into a deep sleep because she was too tired from what happened today. At this moment, Lin Yu heaved a sigh of relief. There was not enough time, and there were too many people, but now he could finally reset. After a night, when Mu Qingqing woke up, she found herself sleeping on the bed. This scene made her jump in fright. and her entire body sprung up from the ground. He's awake? Mu Qingqing turned her head and saw Lin Yu eating breakfast at the table. Young master, your injuries? Mu Qingqing jumped in fright. Just as she was about to show her concern for Lin Yu, she suddenly felt an aura from Lin Yu's body that caused her cultivation to tremble. At this moment, Mu Qingqing was like a small boat that could be swallowed by the vast ocean at any moment. All right. Lin Yu knew that he had been careless. He immediately suppressed his aura and smiled faintly. Come over. After hearing this, Mu Qingqing didn't know why, but she felt that Lin Yu's words carried an irrefutable weight. This made Mu Qingqing even more curious about Lin Yu. Yesterday, he couldn't even get out of bed. How come he wasn't tired at all today? How did young master do it? Mu Qingqing sized up Lin Yu again and confirmed that Lin Yu's aura was as stable as a mountain. His complexion was also extremely good. This made her feel even more incredulous. It's a secret. Lin Yu smiled. He couldn't possibly tell her that he had reset his body, right? After hearing this, Mu Qingqing didn't dare to ask further. She vaguely guessed that Lin Yu might be a big shot of some sect, and these big shots more or less had secrets that they couldn't tell others. You had a dream yesterday. Lin Yu suddenly spoke and interrupted Mu Qingqing's thoughts. What? Don't something like that. Lin Yu's casual words made Mu Qingqing's pretty face turn red. Young master, you're talking nonsense. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Then, young master, can you not mention this matter again in the future? I was just frightened by someone yesterday. Sure. Hearing this, Mu Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief and said, Did young master carry me to the bed? Nodding, Lin Yu didn't dwell on these small matters. Since he was already at the Mu residence of the Celestial Sect of Wonders, he naturally had to get something good. Thinking of this, 2 sets of footsteps came from 10 feet away from the door. Shuai, are you sure that kid broke our Mu residence's armor with a casual finger? Master, Shuai has followed you for many years. Don't you trust my judgment? It's not that I don't trust you, but this matter is strange. If that's true, then that kid has our Mu residence's lifeline. The two came to the backyard. When they were about to greet each other, they saw that the door was already open. Come in. Lin Yu's voice sounded. Mu Zhan and Shuai looked at each other and prepared to enter. Master, coming alone. The voice sounded again with a domineering intent. Shuai's face turned serious, but Mu Zhan didn't object. He just stood there and didn't move. Sir, are you the expert who broke our Mu residence's armor? After Mu Zhan entered, he only saw Lin Yu and Mu Qingqing eating breakfast. Lin Yu continued to eat, but Mu Qingqing immediately bowed in greeting. Daughter greets father. Mu Zhan ignored her and stared at Lin Yu. Master Mu, please have a seat. Lin Yu waved his chopsticks. Mu Zhan was stunned. Very few young people could be so calm in front of him. In particular, Mu Zhan had intentionally or unintentionally emitted the aura of a Grand Supreme stage when he entered. However, it was obvious that he couldn't shake Lin Yu. Mu Zhan sat down and greeted with a smile. He was about to speak when Lin Yu interrupted him. Master Mu, you should cultivate your body, take care of the family, and govern the country. Lin Yu took a bite of the food. He had personally made this in the morning, so he couldn't waste it. After swallowing, Lin Yu continued, Before we talk about business, shouldn't we settle the family first? Cultivate your body, take care of the family, govern the country, and govern the country. Good literary talent. Mu Zhan's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Lin Yu raised an eyebrow at Mu Qingqing and said, Your daughter is bowing to you. Mu Zhan then realized that Mu Qingqing had been bowing to him since she came in. Oh, Qingqing, get up first. Hearing this, Mu Qingqing nodded obediently. Sit down and eat too. Mu Zhan continued. I've been too busy recently, so I didn't have time to visit you. The intelligent Mu Qingqing immediately understood the meaning behind his words. So Mu Zhan knew that she had moved here too? Did Mu Zhan acquiesce to Shui Ruyu's actions? Mu Qingqing's heart sank. She picked up her chopsticks with trembling hands, and Lin Yu took a piece of food. Eat. Lin Yu's voice sounded. Mu Qingqing lowered her head. Thank you, young master. Mu Zhan saw this scene and asked in surprise, "You and my daughter, friends?" A calm voice sounded. Lin Yu put down his chopsticks. How many of the 8 constabularies of the celestial sect of wonders support Si Junlin? As soon as he said that, Mu Zhan was stunned. What nonsense are you talking about? If Master Mu doesn't have any sincerity, then there's no need to talk about what happens next. Chapter 256. Lin Yu said calmly as he picked up more food for Mu Qingqing. From the beginning, Mu Zhan felt that this kid didn't even look at him. Instead, he was more concerned about his daughter, including the Mu residence. There are 5 residences in total. Mu Zhan said helplessly. He was here for the weakness of the armor. However, before he could even get to the point, he was already led by Lin Yu. The Mu residence and Shui residence are naturally included. I roughly know about the other 3 residences. Lin Yu rubbed his chin and smiled. If I ask you to rebel against Si Junlin, would you be willing? How dare you? Mu Zhan's face changed, and he stood up immediately. You dare to interfere with the internal affairs of the Xin sect? Do you know that this is a capital offense? Mu Qingqing was already scared out of her wits. Her father had been busy since young, and their relationship was shallow. Therefore, Mu Qingqing was afraid of her father. Furthermore, this was the first time she saw him so angry. Mu Residence Master, I think you know better than me whether Si Junlin is the best candidate for the future master of the Xin sect. Lin Yu said calmly. Mu Zhan's eyes narrowed, and he was surprised. This Lin Yu wasn't pretending to be calm. He was really calm. It was as if he wasn't afraid of him at all. Young Master Si is a great strategist. In the Xin sect, it's hard to find anyone who can compare to him. How can he not be the best candidate? Mu Zhan retorted. Since Lin Yu knew about the Xin sect, he would refute him properly. Is this really what you're thinking? Lin Yu smiled. What about the bloodline? Mu Zhan's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. You? How did you know? Although the Xin Heaven sect try to hide this, the truth can't be hidden forever, Mu Residence Master. Lin Yu picked up a cup of tea and took a sip. You haven't answered my question. Mu Zhan stared at Lin Yu cautiously. You're the one sent by the 3 residences who oppose this. If I am, then the weakness of the Mu Residence's armor should be known by the 8 residences of the Xin sect. Can Patriarch Mu still talk to me so freely? What flaw did you have, and how did you make up for it? Lin Yu smiled. The more nervous Mu Zhan was, the easier it was for him to control him. The 8 residences of the Celestial Sect of Wonders were the lifeline of the Celestial Sect of Wonders. Once this lifeline was under his control, then a quasi-emperor level sect might not be uncontrollable. When he saw Lin Yu's calm appearance, Mu Zhan knew that he was unable to force the other party. Soon after, he lowered his attitude and smiled. I have lost my composure. Since you have come to my Mu clan, you have already shown your sincerity. He pondered for a moment, before speaking in a serious manner. Psi asterisk. You must not tell anyone that this old man is the one who said this. Otherwise, the Mu clan will no longer exist in this world. Of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let you come in alone. Lin Yu's seemingly indifferent words caused Mu Zhan's old eyes to narrow. Do you mean that Shui Hai is not a trustworthy person? But he has been with this old man for many years. Lin Yu sipped his tea. Master Mu, you are thinking too much. Please continue. Putting aside his suspicions about Shui Hai, Mu Zhan lowered his voice. In terms of bloodline, young Master Si Junlin is not as orthodox as young mistress. Lin Yu naturally knew that Shui Hai had slept with Mu Zhan's wife at most. However, it was not to the extent of betraying the Mu clan. However, if Lin Yu wanted to gain Mu Zhan's trust, he naturally had to use another angle to make Mu Zhan feel isolated and helpless. It's not that he is not orthodox, but that Si Junlin is just an adopted son. After taking a sip of tea, Lin Yu interrupted Mu Zhan. This sentence caused Mu Zhan to stand up again. Sir, this is the biggest secret of the Celestial Sect of Wonders. How did you know about it? Mu Qingqing was stunned. She looked at Lin Yu and even forgot to swallow the food in her mouth. Si Junlin is an adopted son? She actually heard about this? Moreover, looking at Mujan's expression, it was most likely true. You don't need to know how I found out. What I want you to do now is to stand on Si Xiaoxian's side. Sir, are you on young mistress's side? Rubbing his chin, Lin Yu still knew where he stood. He said, I have indeed met Si Xiaoxian once, but we are not close. I have my own reasons for doing what I do. She doesn't know about them. But young mistress has always been indifferent to fame and fortune. She is free and unfettered in the inner area. Some of us old masters feel that. Mu Zhan looked troubled. He wanted to say something, but stopped. Lin Yu smiled. Not working hard now doesn't mean that she won't work hard in the future. Moreover, Si Xiaoxian's frivolity is largely due to Si Junlin's presence. She doesn't want to overshadow Si Junlin. Do you understand? Mu Zhan stared at Lin Yu solemnly. Sir, are you saying that young mistress' talent in forging and cultivation is above young masters? You can say that. Lin Yu nodded and said, Master Mu, I'm not negotiating with you now. I'm threatening you. Mu Zhan's expression changed immediately. Even Mu Qingqing, who was standing at the side, felt goosebumps on her back. No one had ever dared to say such things to her father. Although Mu Qingqing felt that the atmosphere had become tense, she was secretly happy for some reason. She was happy that Lin Yu could anger her father. Sir, you're exaggerating. Mu Zhan suppressed his anger. It's not impossible to support young mistress, but brush and ink. Lin Yu raised his hand as he spoke to Mu Qingqing. Mu Qingqing immediately brought over a brush and ink. Lin Yu wrote a few words with the brush and passed it to Mu Zhan. Mu Zhan was excited. He said solemnly, Wonderful, exquisite beyond compare. I'm afraid your attainment in forging is not below young masters. Si Junlin compared to me? Lin Yu raised his eyebrows and smiled helplessly. Forget it. This is only the weakness of the armor. As for how to make up for it, I naturally have my ways. It just depends on Master Mu's decision. Mu Zhan smiled without thinking. Young master, for not telling this secret to the other 7 constabularies and for being willing to help the Mu residents fix this flaw, I thank you. With that, he said, the Earthless battle is in 3 days. Have you heard of it? Lin Yu nodded. The Earth List is the only way for the disciples of the Celestial Sect and the 8 constabularies to enter the Elder Hall. Only by winning the Earth List can one enter the Celestial List and be promoted to the Elder Hall immediately. After a long sigh, Mu Zhan said, Sir, you indeed know the Celestial Sect like the back of your hand. Yes, the masters of the 8 constabularies are from the Elder Hall. But I'm guessing that the reason why young master is holding the Earth List battle is to nurture his own people into the Elder Hall. It's expected. His identity is the reason. Lin Yu reminded. Mu Zhan's expression changed. Young master will kill us old officials? Chapter 257. What do you think? Lin Yu packed up and prepared to retrieve the Heaven and Earth Nirvana Rod. He wondered if the tens of thousands of people from the low-key sect were doing well in there. When there is value to be made use of, I can naturally say that it is good for you. Lin Yu looked at Mu Zhan and placed his hand on his shoulder. Mu Zhan's body trembled, and Lin Yu continued, If there is no value to be made use of, and you know his secret, then... Lin Yu didn't continue because Mu Zhan's forehead was already dripping with sweat. This old man understands. May I know your excellency's title? Lin Yu. Then how can I support young mistress? Lin Yu smiled. Let's break the Earth Board battle first and deal with the thing that Si Junlin set up. I understand. I will go and investigate who young lord Si Junlin sent to the Earth Board battle. Seeing Lin Yu nod, Mu Zhan rushed out of the room. But Lin Yu stopped him. Mu Estate Master, can you change to a more comfortable place for me? Of course. Mu Zhan didn't dare to neglect Lin Yu. He knew about the problem with the armor, but he knew that it was extremely troublesome to break it. Without Lin Yu, he wouldn't be able to solve it. Moreover, before fixing the flaw in the armor, Lin Yu was equivalent to holding the Mu Estate's lifeline. Mu Zhan naturally knew that he couldn't offend Lin Yu. What about you? He raised his eyebrows at Mu Qingqing. The latter was dumbfounded the entire time and only regained her senses now. I will listen to young master. A stuttering voice was heard. Then come with me. Mu Qingqing heard Lin Yu's words, and the latter nodded in response. Lin Yu was a gentleman. She already knew that yesterday. Moreover, she felt extremely safe when she was with Lin Yu. However, Mu Zhan's old eyes were stunned, and he immediately became serious. He felt that he had lost face by giving his daughter to Lin Yu. However, Lin Yu's value and weakness made him not have the courage to refute. Patriarch Mu, don't worry. Lin Yu is not the kind of person you think he is, he reminded Mu Zhan. Only then did the latter smile awkwardly and speed up his pace. Young master, you didn't tell the man her head, did you? Shuai immediately stepped forward and whispered into Lin Yu's ear. Lin Yu couldn't help but smile. This was the effect he wanted. You're that scared? Why didn't you take care of your little brother? Lin Yu teased. Shuai's face turned red. Sigh. Who can withstand that woman's provocation? Lin Yu shrugged and was too lazy to criticize others. If I told Mu Zhan, do you think you would still be able to talk to me now? Letting out a sigh of relief, Shuai's entire body relaxed. Many thanks, young master. He was also quite tactful. Young master, if you have any requests, Shuai will not refuse. All right, do one thing for me. Lin Yu whispered a few words into his ear. Shuai's expression changed slightly. You really want to do this? Seeing that Lin Yu didn't speak, Shuai knew that his life was in Lin Yu's hands and didn't dare to ask anymore. I'll do it immediately. With that, he disappeared without a trace. Mu Qingqing watched all this in a daze. Father was angry, but didn't say anything, and General Shuai was submissive. How did this young master do it? Come with me to get the staff. Lin Yu stood up and walked out of the room. The moment the door opened, Lin Yu's face turned ashen. Damn, why can't I lift it? I don't believe that this thing is so heavy. It must be a treasure. It must be a treasure. More than 30 people surrounded the door of the backyard. Young master, Mu Qingqing was shocked. She didn't need to think much to know that these people were surrounding the annihilating universe staff. Please make way, Mu Qingqing said. Everyone turned around and saw Mu Qingqing and Lin Yu behind her. Isn't this the Mu clan's young miss? Don't call her young Mississippi. I heard that Madame Mu, Shuai Yu, hates her the most and doesn't allow anyone in the Mu clan to call her young Mississippi. If that's the case, then we don't need to be polite to her. Scram. Mu Qingqing's face turned ashen. This is our thing. She pointed at the annihilating universe staff. What, this thing has your name? Yo, you really think you're the young miss? Everyone mocked her in disdain. You really don't have any face. Lin Yu glanced at Mu Qingqing and couldn't help but tease her. Don't laugh at me, young master. Mu Qingqing lowered her head in shame, which gave her a delicate and alluring feeling. Interesting. The young miss of the Mu clan, who can't even compare to the servants, actually has a gigolo. I think he's quite good-looking, but it's a pity that his aura is very weak. I, as samsara stage expert, can't even detect his aura. It seems like he's a good-for-nothing who can't cultivate. Lin Yu's face twitched when he heard this. At this moment, Mu Qingqing stood on her tiptoes and smiled at Lin Yu. Young master, you've lost face too. Damn it. Lin Yu gritted his teeth and couldn't be bothered to explain himself to these people. Samsara stage experts were so weak, so of course they couldn't detect his aura. Since young Miss Mu said that this staff belongs to her, why don't we let young Miss Mu take it? That's right. So many of us have carried it for an entire day, but this staff hasn't even moved. I'd like to see how young Miss Mu will pick it up. Mu Qingqing blushed. What she meant was that the staff belonged to Lin Yu. However, these people clearly misunderstood. It's fine, go ahead, Lin Yu suddenly said. Mu Qingqing was stunned. She whispered into Lin Yu's ear, Young master, I've tried before. I really can't pick it up. Give me your hand. After Lin Yu said that, Mu Qingqing stretched out her hand. A hot and cold glory chi immediately surged into Mu Qingqing's palm. Mu Qingqing couldn't help but acknowledge as her face flushed red. However, she suddenly realized that her right hand seemed to be much stronger than before. What's wrong? Young Miss Mu doesn't dare to try? You're indeed a good-for-nothing. It's no wonder Madame Mu hates you so much. I'll try then. Mu Qingqing stepped forward and grabbed the cosmic nirvana staff with one hand. In an instant, a majestic force seemed to be absorbed by the staff in her right hand. She gritted her teeth and exerted strength in her arm. The cosmic nirvana staff that no one could lift suddenly vibrated. It's moving. Damn it. How is this possible? Mu Qingqing was overjoyed. She exerted strength again and lifted the cosmic nirvana staff. The staff's aura erupted as it swept over. How could the 30-odd people dodge in time? With a loud boom, all of them were sent flying. So sorry, Mu Qingqing said apologetically. She immediately took the cosmic nirvana staff and returned it to Lin Yu. You're quite smart. Lin Yu smiled. The yin-yang qi he gave Mu Qingqing could only support her for a short while. Chapter 258. Once the yin and yang qi was exhausted, the weight of the rod would descend again and break Mu Qingqing's hand. How dare you, Miss Mu? How dare you hurt someone? She's nothing but a servant. Let's go and settle the score with Madame Mu. With that, those who could still get up went to the main gate of the Mu residence. They naturally did not dare to enter from the backyard. After all, it was one of the 8 residences of the celestial sect of wonders. These people were not fools. If they entered rashly, they would be courting death. However, the 8 residences valued their reputation the most. Once things got out of hand, Mu Qingqing would be the unlucky one. Young master, what should we do? Mu Qingqing looked at Lin Yu worriedly. I didn't know that picking up a rod would hurt people. It's okay if you don't know. Let them be. Lin Yu smiled faintly as he took the heaven and earth staff back to his room in the backyard. Go out first. Don't let me in. I have something to do. The voice sounded. Although Mu Qingqing was worried, she still went out obediently. If someone comes to trouble you later, tell them to wait for me to come out first. Lin Yu instructed again. After closing the door, Lin Yu waved his right hand and set up a restriction. He believed that Mu Qingqing would not barge in. This restriction could be used against others just in case. After doing this, Lin Yu disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the inner world of the cosmic rod. In front of him was a space of nothingness, like a small part of the starry sky. In front of the starry sky, a huge wind-moon tree sat on a vast continent. And that continent was the complete area before the low-key sect. There was no sun and moon here, but Lin Yu saw a ball of golden light and a ball of silver light slowly revolving around the continent. Lin Yu saw the grand supreme aura of Qin Wunyan, Dong Wang Feiyu, and the others in the golden light. Obviously, this golden light was the sun created by the combined efforts of those in the grand supreme realm. Lin Yu also sensed the invincible realm auras of Qin Ji, Yuga, and the others from the silver-white light. It was a pity that this aura was much weaker than the sun, but it was enough to be used as a moon. That's interesting. Lin Yu smiled in satisfaction. His footsteps landed, and he appeared in the low-key sect. Sect leader is back. Sect leader is still alive. Sect leader is not dead. The patrol team at the mountain gate immediately discovered Lin Yu and shouted. Lin Yu's face twitched, and he coughed. Can you not yell at me every time I come back? Just as he finished speaking, a large group of people had already appeared. Qin Wunyan, Yang Kai, Yang Qing, Qin Ji, the left and right envoys, the 12 elders, Emperor Sex Qing Qing, and the others also appeared one after another. The first to appear in front of Lin Yu was Mei. Her strength had more or less recovered. Now that she saw Lin Yu, she felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. I almost went out to look for you, Mei said. She still remembered that Lin Yu let her in and did not allow her to leave without permission. Although there was a barrier here, and the people inside could not leave the world of the universe staff at will. However, if Mei was willing to pay any price to blast open the seal with her laws, she could still leave. I said I would be back. Lin Yu saw that these people were living well, and he was the one who sighed a little. He could not help but feel a headache coming on. The wind-moon tree provided endless glorious chi, and the sun, moon, and stars rotated. The world here could be said to be more comfortable than outside. It's a paradise. Lin Yu sighed softly. Sect leader, did Heaven Emperor Xiao do anything to you? Qin Ji and the others asked. Lin Yu shrugged. What are you talking about, First Elder? We're all men. What can he do to me? Qin Ji blushed and turned her face away, not daring to answer Lin Yu's question. Only Lin Yu knew his own hardships, but he was unwilling to talk about how serious his injuries were at that time, but he still felt that he could stimulate the morale of the people. What do you think of Heaven Emperor Xiao's strength? Lin Yu's understatement made everyone fall into silence. Many of them even had the same horror as when they faced Heaven Emperor Xiao's finger that day. If not for sect leader, we would be dead. Yang Kai said. He was the strongest combat power here besides Mei. Kai Yang's words were naturally representative of the others. I'm not asking you about this. I'm asking you, what do you think? Lin Yu said again. The rest of the people were shocked. Qin Ji braced herself. Third heaven of laws, an invincible existence. Very good. Lin Yu nodded in satisfaction. At least someone could speak objectively and not just be afraid of him. Third heaven of laws is the top combat power of this Emperor Gate Star field, but it doesn't mean that he is invincible. Lin Yu said indifferently. Everyone looked at each other, and Qin Wenyan couldn't help but ask. There is a realm above the laws. Most of them came from the Four Directions star field. There, the three sovereigns were already invincible, and the three sovereigns were only at the Grand Supreme realm. How could they dare to imagine that the law realm above the Grand Supreme realm was not invincible? It's still too early to talk about this with you. Lin Yu smiled. How do you feel here? Qin Ji bowed and said, I didn't expect sect leader to secretly move the wind-moon tree here. The Yao Qi here is extremely rich and is also very suitable for cultivation. Lin Yu nodded, but in the crowd, he saw Yao Go looking at him with resentment. Naturally, Lin Yu knew what was going on and dug up Yao Ji's hometown. But she was still in the dark at the beginning, so it was normal for her to be unhappy. Sect leader, where are we now? Qin Ji asked. Xian's sect. Lin Yu smiled. The quasi-emperor's sect, where Xian's sect is. Everyone looked at each other, and all of them had a feeling of eagerness to show off their skills here. Now is not the time. You guys cultivate here first. Lin Yu touched his chin. I still need to arrange some things, and there are also fun things in Xian's sect that have not been resolved. Everyone was confused, but they didn't dare to object to Lin Yu's orders. It was already night time here, and Lin Yu dismissed them. You're leaving again? Mei stood in front of Lin Yu and stared at him with her beautiful eyes. Yes, didn't I say that I have something to do? I want to go too. Mei grabbed Lin Yu's hand. Also, I have a question for you. What? Charm looked around. Why does this world feel so sad? Oh, Lin Yu smiled. As expected of Xidagarba's future disciple, you can actually sense the will of the stars. How do you know about Xidagarba? Mei's eyes widened, and her heart was in turmoil. This was the biggest secret of the ghost sect. Chapter 259. I guessed. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. How could he have let it slip? He immediately changed the topic. Don't you want to know why this starry sky feels sad? Charm nodded and cooperated with Lin Yu. She could tell that Lin Yu did not want to talk about Xidagarba. After all, it was a taboo in the starry sky. My feeling was right. The Nirvana Universe staff belonged to the great emperor equal to heaven, and this is the world he created. Charm continued curiously. Although the great emperor equal to heaven has no descendants, we all know that he was born with a stone heart. It's impossible for him to have feelings. Why would there be emotions in this place that he created? Lin Yu looked at the moon in the sky and shook his head. Not well done. He pointed a finger, and the moon hanging in the sky suddenly became much brighter. There were even more complicated patterns on it. It was like a real moon. Hey, you haven't answered my question. Charm pulled Lin Yu's hand. The latter smiled. The great Tao of Stone Heart is the source of Qi Tian Di's power. Unfortunately, once he falls in love, his great Tao backfires. What do you mean? Chi Tiandi fell in love back then? All things of spirits. Chi Tiandi was born as a great demon, but strictly speaking, he's a divine stone from the ancient god domain. Divine stone. Ancient god domain. Charm fell into deep thought. How do you know all this? I've never heard of it in the ghost sect. Lin Yu smiled. Because I'm just making things up. Impossible. She stared at Lin Yu. I want to hear what happened later. Later, Lin Yu looked at the moon. The path of the strong cannot be shackled by feelings. Chi Tiandi could have gone one step further and become an existence above the Emperor realm. Knowing that he had gone too far, Lin Yu smiled helplessly. In short, he lost to feelings, and in the end, there was no result. Charm was shocked. What about the girl he liked? Did she disappear with Chi Tiandi? No. Then where is she? May became even more curious. The stories of the imperial era, especially the stories of experts, were extremely attractive to her. Lin Yu shook his head. I don't know. As he finished speaking, Lin Yu thoughtfully walked several steps away. When the night comes and the cold moon dominates the wind, I only pity the drooping head of this place. When the night comes and the cold moon shines in the wind, I only pity the drooping head here. The succubus muttered Lin Yu's words. After thinking about it for a long time, she felt an indescribable sadness. The desolation seemed to resonate with the will of the starry sky, which was affected by Lin Yu for a moment. Lin Yu left the staff, but May did not follow. Only now did she realize that she had never understood this young man. Her footsteps were lonelier than she had imagined. Was the sorrow in his heart the same as this starry sky? Mu residence. When Lin Yu opened his eyes again, he could already hear the continuous sounds. Mu Qingqing is too much. She injured so many of us. Madam Mu, you must give us an explanation today. That's right. Is Mu Qingqing looking down on the rest of the Xian sect just because she's the young miss of the Mu residence? I think so. If the Mu residence is bullying us, then we don't need to stay here anymore. The scolding came, followed by Shui Ruyu's stern voice. Wild girl, you've offended so many people. Do you know that you deserve death? Outside the door, Mu Qingqing's delicate body trembled. Her face was pale. I'm sorry, second mother. I shouldn't have touched that staff. Where's the staff? Shui Ruyu's eyes were filled with greed. If it were any other time, she would have already attacked Mu Qingqing. However, she could still hold it in because she heard the Qingquan staff mentioned by so many people. It was a good thing. That thing fell in the backyard of the Mu residence. That means it belongs to the Mu residence. Mu Qingqing, hand it over, and I'll spare you from today's incident. In order to obtain the Nirvana Universe staff, Shui Ryu spoke politely to Mu Qingqing. However, when these words reached Mu Qingqing's ears, she immediately retorted, Second mother, that doesn't belong to our Mu clan. It belongs to young master. Impudent. Shui Ryu was furious. If your father didn't have something to discuss with Shui Hai, I would have let him kill you right now. Taking a few steps back, Mu Qingqing subconsciously pressed against the door. How could this scene escape Shui Ryu's sharp eyes? The staff is behind you. Get out of my way, Shui Ryu said sternly. A few servants had already stepped forward. Wait, the young master said we can't go in. Mu Qingqing pleaded. She wanted to use her glory chi to block, but Shui Ryu's palm struck out. The unresolvable cold chi immediately spread towards Mu Qingqing. The rest of the servants immediately attacked. With a bang, the door shattered. Mu Qingqing tightly closed her eyes. She felt that she might die from this move. However, after a long time, Mu Qingqing didn't feel any pain. Could it be that I'm already dead? Mu Qingqing slowly opened her eyes. What she saw was a floor full of corpses and a stunned Shui Ryu and the rest. 3 feet in front of her, a scarlet staff stood there. It was deeply embedded in the ground, creating countless cracks. Young master. Mu Qingqing was relieved. She thought that Lin Yu had come out. That's it. The people outside the door who were injured by the Nirvana Universe staff pointed to the staff and shouted. Shui Ryu's eyes widened. Saint weapon. She took a few steps forward. Without even looking at the servants on the ground, she stretched out her hand towards the Nirvana universe staff. Think carefully. You have to pay the price for touching my things. A calm but domineering voice echoed in the room. Mu Qingqing was stunned. She immediately turned around and saw Lin Yu sitting at the table, drinking tea. His expression was calm. It was hard to imagine that those words came from his mouth. It's you again. Shui Ryu gritted her teeth. She still remembered that it was Lin Yu who caused Shui Hai to ignore her for a day. Your things? How dare you say that something that appeared in my Mu residence is yours? How dare you? Lin Yu took his time drinking tea. If you have the guts, you can touch it. The moment he said that, there was a feeling of hostility. This kid is a little arrogant. I heard that Mu Residence's Madame Mu has Mu Zhan under her control. Her residence is also one of the 8 residences. Mu Zhan doesn't dare to go against her. But there's something wrong with this kid. He didn't give Shui Ryu any face. The harsh words provoked Shui Ryu. The latter loved her face the most. After so many years, how many people in the Mu residence and Shui residence dared to embarrass her like this? No one. I'll touch it. What can you do to me? Shui Ryu gritted her teeth and grabbed the Nirvana universe staff with her right hand. Chapter 260. Her back was already cold from Lin Yu's words. But now that she grabbed Lin Yu's staff, she was completely fine? Haha, what a bluffing brat. Shui Ryu tugged hard. One and pick up the staff. If the others saw this scene, they would only feel that it was impossible. They had all tried before. Even if more than 30 people worked together, they couldn't move the staff at all. Now that the staff was stuck in the ground, wouldn't it be harder to move it? Even Mu Qingqing felt that it was impossible. If it wasn't for Lin Yu's help in the morning, she wouldn't have been able to lift the staff. And in the end, she couldn't control the strength of the staff and hurt someone. But in the next moment, Mu Qingqing and the others all widened their eyes. With a bang, the shattered floor flew up. Dozens of pairs of eyes saw with their own eyes that Shui Ryu had picked up the annihilating heaven and earth staff. She lifted it up. How is that possible? That staff is at least a few 100,000 kilograms. Although Madame Mu is an invincible expert, she can't lift it so easily. They couldn't believe their eyes when they saw Shui Ryu easily pick up the Nirvana universe staff. This isn't as heavy as you say. Shui Ryu smiled proudly and waved his staff. A scarlet light burst out from the heaven and earth obliteration staff. Bang! When the red light hit the wall of the backyard, it immediately created a huge hole. What a powerful divine weapon. Shui Ryu smiled with satisfaction. The 8 residences of the celestial sect of wonders were famous for their forging skills. They were all eager for top-grade spiritual and holy weapons. With such a good item, won't I be the only one in charge of the Shui and Mu residences in the future? She was determined that this item would belong to her in the future. Second mother. That belongs to young master. Mu Qingqing gritted her teeth. She knew that she couldn't offend Shui Ryu, but she had a ruler in her heart. She had to return the item to its rightful owner. You stinky girl, are you trying to help others? Shui Ryu scolded sternly. But for the first time, Mu Qingqing stared at her without fear. Second mother, that belongs to young master. You, good. Since your wings have hardened, then this old lady will break them. As Shui Ryu spoke, she raised her hand to hit Mu Qingqing. If you touch her, I will exterminate your entire Shui clan. In the room, a cold and calm voice sounded. When Shui Ryu heard this, for some reason, all the hairs on his body stood up. This is the 8 residences of the celestial sect of wonders. How dare you threaten me? Shui Ryu only felt his throat dry up after hearing this. Especially when she met Lin Yu's gaze, she couldn't help but stutter. How could this be the gaze of a youth? In this gaze, she saw a terrifying boldness that ignored the suffering of all living beings. It was as if Lin Yu's arrogant words were nothing more than a trivial matter to him. Lin Yu didn't say anything else, but Shui Ryu's palm stopped above Mu Qingqing's head, not daring to land for a long time. Although she warned Lin Yu verbally, she didn't dare to cross the line in her actions. On account that you brat got the treasure for me today, I will let you off for one day. Shui Ryu snorted coldly and turned to leave. But after a few steps, a large group of people suddenly came to the backyard and surrounded everyone. Old Master, Shui Hai. Two people walked out from the group, their expressions extremely solemn. Shui Ryu immediately called for them to stand up. Old Master, what are you doing? Why did you bring so many people here? It was also the first time Shui Ryu saw such a scene. She hurriedly wanted to secretly put away the heaven and earth nirvana staff, but suddenly realized that this staff couldn't be put into the storage ring. Lin Yu poured a cup of tea. Mu Qingqing, come in and sit beside me. Stunned, Mu Qingqing couldn't figure out what was going on. Mu Zhan and Shui Hai brought troops here at the same time. Could it be that they wanted to capture young master? You know very well what it is. Mu Zhan looked at Shui Ryu coldly. The latter's gaze sharpened. Haha, old master, it's just that Qingqing made a mistake and offended these people on the street. I can settle it. She suddenly had a bad feeling and hurriedly waved her hand. You guys, since the matter has been settled, can you leave now? Seeing the current tense situation, how could the crowd dare to stay here fearlessly? After those people injured by Mu Qingqing left, only Shui Ryu was left in the backyard. As for her servants, they were all killed by the heaven and earth nirvana staff from the beginning. Old master, isn't it settled now? See? Shui Ryu smiled awkwardly. If there's nothing else, I'll return to my room first. With that, Shui Ryu was about to leave. Wait. Mu Zhan came over coldly, his gaze landing on Shui Ryu's hand. Then what are you? A staff, an ordinary staff. Shui Ryu felt a chill run down her spine. She hurriedly gave an excuse and lowered her head to leave. At this moment, Lin Yu's voice came from the room. Residence Master Mu, your wife stole my things. How do you think we should settle this? Hearing this, the atmosphere suddenly turned heavy. Mu Qingqing gulped. She saw Mu Zhan, Shui Ryu, and the others looking over at the same time. Especially Shui Ryu. Her gaze was so vicious that it was as if she wanted to swallow her and Lin Yu whole. Mu Qingqing's small hands couldn't help but tremble. Let me do it. Lin Yu took the teapot in her hand and poured 2 cups for himself. His other hand freed up and patted Mu Qingqing's arm. The yin-yang realm aura slowly flowed in and nourished Mu Qingqing's mind. She immediately calmed down. You're impudent. A man sneaked in my Mu residence and hid in the young miss room. Now, you dare to accuse me? Shui Ryu, the villain, complained first. Lin Yu smiled but didn't say anything. Great General, quickly take this brat down. Shui Ryu ordered Shui Hai, but the latter didn't move at all. This scene chilled Shui Ryu's heart. It's Mu Zhan's fault. Mu Zhan's voice sounded. Then, Shui Ryu saw a slap coming at her. Smack! The sound of a slap echoed in the backyard. A 5-finger mark appeared on Shui Ryu's face. You dare to hit me? Shui Ryu's face twisted. Mu Zhan, how many times have my Shui residents helped you? How dare you treat me like this? She didn't expect Mu Zhan to hit her because of Lin Yu's words. I'm not just going to hit you. Mu Zhan smiled coldly. Men, take my wife down. Shui Ryu's heart tightened. She immediately glared at Shui Hai. How dare you? It's my duty. Please understand, madam. Shui Hai cupped his fists and said that. Instantly, a few people surrounded Shui Ryu and pressed her down. Shui Ryu fell to the ground. Chapter 261. Shui Hai, have you forgotten how I treated you? Hearing that, Shui Hai's face twitched, and he immediately sealed her. Today's matter is Madam's fault. Madam is my benefactor, but my name is Mu Hai. At this moment, he clearly drew a line between himself and Shui Ryu. Just as Shui Ryu was about to speak again, her mouth was already firmly sealed with a tape. At this moment, Mu Zhan cupped his fist towards Lin Yu. My wife stole the treasure of our esteemed guest. Her crime is monstrous. I will immediately send her to prison. Shui Ryu's eyes widened. How could she not know what kind of place the prison was? She didn't know how many people she had forced to death in the prison. Now, there are still many people who were trapped in the prison because of her. Ma, ma, Shui Ryu couldn't say a word. Muhai wouldn't give her a chance to speak again, just as Lin Yu had instructed him at the beginning. If he didn't want the secret of the past to be known, the only way was to get rid of Shui Ryu. That should have been impossible. However, Lin Yu had somehow managed to convince Mujan. Muhai's heart was already blooming with joy. Shui Ryu stared at Muhai and Mujan. She suddenly remembered that rod. How could she pick up a rod that more than 30 people couldn't pick up? She originally thought that it was because her cultivation was higher than others. But now that she saw Lin Yu, Mujan, and the rest, no matter how stupid Shui Ryu was, she knew that this was a trap to get rid of her. Shui Ryu was pulled away. Mujan came to Lin Yu. He first recalled Lin Yu's vigilance towards Muhai and said, "You guys go first. Drag Shui Ryu into the prison. Don't let her take a step out." Yes. Muhai cupped his fists, and a large number of troops withdrew from the backyard. "Young master, what should we do next?" Lin Yu smiled faintly. "Does Residence Master Mu have any pity?" "No." With a gloomy expression, Mujan recalled how Shui Ryu had behaved atrociously in front of him because of the Shui estate's concern. "Shui Ryu has been married to me for many years, but she harmed my wife and daughter. If it wasn't for her relationship with the Shui family, this old man would have executed her on the spot." Mu Qingqing felt a sense of loss for some reason when she saw Mujan's determination. Was this the world of adults? Mujan could ignore her and her mother for his own benefits. Today, for the sake of benefits, he could also ignore Shui Ryu. Very good. The next step is to increase Shui Ryu's crime. Lin Yu spoke again. Mujan didn't understand. "Young master, how can you increase the crime of stealing a staff?" Lin Yu smiled. "If my status is high, wouldn't her crime be bigger?" Mujan was even more confused. "You just need to give me a false name and let others think that Shui Ryu didn't know what was good for her and stole something from a big shot. You, Mujan, have no choice but to capture her." Lin Yu stared at Mujan. This way, Residence Master Mu's reputation can be protected. If the Shui estate wants to ask you for her, you can push the blame to me. Mujan sucked in a breath of cold air. He felt that the scheming displayed by this 15 or 16-year-old youth was very different from his appearance. Good. From today onwards, young master is the #1 blacksmith in the inner district. Mujan decided. He had already left to spread the news. Lin Yu's face twitched. What kind of lousy nickname is this? Young master. Mu Qingqing secretly peeked at him. You're amazing. There's something even more amazing that you haven't seen. Lin Yu blurted out. The next step was to bait others. His target wasn't the small Shui estate, but the bigger fish behind it. Sure enough, after a day, the news that the #1 blacksmith in the inner district came to the Mu estate had already spread like wildfire. There were even many people who came, hoping to see Lin Yu. Of course, some of them were people that Lin Yu purposely asked Mujan to bring some people from the Mu estate to mix in with them. He wanted to use this to ferment the matter again. I heard that this blacksmith, Master Lin, redesigned the Mu estate's armor the moment he came. Now that the new armor is being made, the Mu estate's strength will definitely increase from today onwards. That's not all. Madame Mu actually dared to challenge Master Lin, just because she used to be the eldest daughter of the Shui estate. Guess what happened in the end? He didn't even let Madame Mu off. This Master Lin is indeed bold. Wrong. It's not that Master Lin wants to deal with Madame Mu. It's that Madame Mu took a fancy to one of Master Lin's treasures and actually dared to snatch it. Master Lin is the #1 blacksmith in the inner district. Isn't Madame Mu trying to provoke him? Exactly. The Mu estate's master immediately placed Madame Mu, Shui Ryu, in the heavenly prison. I heard that the Shui estate is already in chaos, and he wants to save Shui Ryu. Lin Yu's legend and Shui Ryu's scandal were constantly fermenting. Lin Yu was in the backyard. He had just finished eating with Mu Qingqing when he saw Mujan come to visit him. Master Lin guessed correctly. The Shui estate came to me early in the morning to ask for her. And then, Mujan sneered, of course, I don't care about them. Haha, after so many years, this is the first time I've seen the Shui estate's people so humble. If it weren't for Master Lin's additional backup plan, this old man would have rashly suppressed Shui Ru Yu and definitely incurred the Shui residents' revenge. But this time, they were afraid of your might and didn't even dare to let out a fart. Mu Qingqing was stunned. This was the first time she saw Mu Zhan lose his composure. That's good. Continue with the arrangements. Lin Yu casually dismissed him. Mu Zhan already felt that it was wise. Master, I've sent the Shui Estate's people away. But the next time he comes, it should be the Shui Estate's master. Your father-in-law? Mu Zhan snorted awkwardly. Humph, he has never treated me as his son-in-law. Even after my father died and I succeeded him, he still thinks that everything I have today was fought for by his daughter. Lin Yu wiped his hands. Continue. Mu Zhan sighed, but when I faced him in the underworld, I was still a little scared. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows at Mu Qingqing. The latter immediately understood and passed a piece of paper to Mu Zhan. When your father-in-law comes, just give this to him. Mu Zhan was elated. Then do I need to do anything else? He shook his head. No need. It's getting late. All right. Where's the room I asked you to prepare? It's already prepared according to Master's request. Lin Yu nodded and stood up. I'll stay there tonight. Master should be treated like a master. Yes. After hearing that, Mu Zhan hurriedly nodded and brought Lin Yu over. Chapter 262. Now that the Mu residence's armor had improved in quality, and he could return the humiliation he suffered in the Shui residence, Mu Zhan valued Lin Yu's words greatly. Lin Yu arrived at his new residence. It was the most luxurious room in the Mu residence. Rather than calling it a room, it was more like a palace. Every brick and tile was made of obsidian. It was extremely luxurious. If anything happens tonight, you don't have to come in. Lin Yu smiled faintly and entered his own palace. Seeing this, Mu Qingqing remembered to ask Lin Yu to follow her. However, there were 2 palaces in total. Mu Qingqing entered her own palace. Mu Zhan sighed. Wouldn't it be great if I could keep this kid for my own use forever? He looked in Mu Qingqing's direction. When I'm free, I have to give this silly girl some pointers. Residence Master, the people from the Shui residence are here again. Mu Zhan snorted and grabbed the paper Lin Yu wrote. It's already the middle of the night. How annoying. However, he was overjoyed in his heart. Lin Yu entered the bedroom and sat cross-legged to meditate. He didn't stop until he had adjusted his state to perfection. My divine senses have reached a critical point. Lin Yu closed his eyes. In between his eyebrows, the divine Great Emperor's purple cauldron appeared slowly. Lin Yu's divine senses aura exploded. It was showing signs of breaking through to the divine Seven-Yang transcendent realm. Compared to the Yin-Yang realm, the transcendent and all-conquering realms are just ants. Lin Yu said helplessly. However, his divine senses still broke through and entered the Seven-Yang transcendent realm. 6-Yang realm cultivation could be ignored for now. After examining himself, Lin Yu said again, however, my battle physique and divine senses are too weak. If he didn't experience the power of the Yin-Yang realm, he wouldn't have such a huge goal for his battle physique and divine senses. However, Lin Yu knew that if he couldn't reach the limit in every aspect, wouldn't it be a waste of his 100,000 years of accumulated knowledge? The items from the Xian sect can help me break through the divine Yin-Yang realm in the purple cauldron. As he pondered, Lin Yu suddenly frowned. His room was originally pitch black, but at this moment, a figure flew in from outside the door at an extremely fast speed. The agility of this person's movement techniques surpassed that of the unyielding realm. The newcomer was a Grand Supreme Realm expert. Lin Yu pretended to be asleep. The man approached him step by step and seemed to be standing beside his bed. His divine consciousness spread out as if he was sizing up Lin Yu's entire body. But suddenly, Lin Yu opened his eyes. That person's pupils dilated, and he immediately retreated. Since you're here, why don't we meet? Lin Yu calmly spoke. That person prepared to rush out of the room, only to see a surge of yin and yang qi sweeping past. Instantly, the cold qi and the scorching qi within the room began to fuse together, forming a barrier that blocked the person's path. "It's you." Upon seeing this yin-yang qi, a bell-like voice immediately rang out. "Lin Yu." At this moment, Lin Yu had already sat up slowly. "See, Xiaoxian, the Xian sect situation isn't too good, but it still doesn't affect your curiosity." With a smirk, Lin Yu ignited the flame of glory bait. In the bedroom, Si Xiaoxian, dressed in black, was revealed. She was dressed in a tight-fitting black outfit that covered half of her face. Under the bright light, only her almond-shaped eyes and her curvaceous figure were exposed. "So, the Mu clan's #1 blacksmith in the inner area is you." Si Xiaoxian smiled and took a few steps forward. "Aren't you in the four-way galaxy? Why are you here in the Xian sect?" Si Xiaoxian smiled warmly and asked. Only Lin Yu knew that he purposely set up the identity of the #1 blacksmith in the inner area to lure the small fries from the Shui clan. Instead, it was Si Xiaoxian, the legitimate successor of the Xian sect. "Of course, I came to the Xian sect with a purpose." Lin Yu did not hide his ulterior motive. A phoenix will not land in a place without treasures. "Kid, last time I saw you, you wanted to take away that peach tree, right?" Si Xiaoxian was full of gossip as she sat beside Lin Yu. It was as if she had met an old friend. "Are you here because of something in the Xian sect that caught your eye?" Lin Yu shrugged and smiled helplessly. "I want to borrow the 9 Serenity's cold flame." Si Xiaoxian's eyes widened and her delicate body could not help but tremble. Even she could not help but be frightened by Lin Yu. "Lin Yu, do you know what the 9 Serenity's cold flame means?" "The supreme holy flame used by the leader of the Xian sect." Lin Yu added, "The 9 Serenity's cold flame is extremely fragile. Every time it is used, it needs 10 years to repair the damage. Otherwise, the flame will be extinguished and the cold flame will disappear from the world." "Good kid." Si Xiaoxian could not help but pat Lin Yu's shoulder. "This is the Xian sect secret. It seems like you came prepared." "You can say that." Lin Yu was too lazy to explain. When he was trapped, he even stole the 9 Serenity's cold flame to play with. He was almost frozen into an ice cube. That thing was colder than the 10,000-year frost ice in the cold moon palace. "Then you should know that my father has been in seclusion for many years. Everything in the Xian sect was handed over to my brother." Si Xiaoxian blurted out. Suddenly, she thought of something and frowned. "Inner area blacksmith. 9 Serenity's cold flame. You lured me here on purpose." She remembered that Lin Yu was not surprised at her arrival at all. Now, he even confessed his plan. Was he not planning to tell her what it was? Si Xiaoxian is not stupid. Lin Yu did not plan to hide it from her. 5 of the 8 prefectures of a Xian sect have been roped in by your brother. You should know what this means. Si Xiaoxian's expression suddenly turned serious. She was no longer as carefree as before. "What do you mean?" "What I mean is, Si Xiaoxian of the Xian sect may seem stupid, but you know very well in your heart." Lin Yu met her eyes and pulled down the veil on Si Xiaoxian's face. "Your brother can't wait to take the throne. What do you think?" "Shut up." Si Xiaoxian's expression changed drastically. This was a taboo in the Xian sect. With her intelligence, how could she not know what Si Junlin was up to recently? Lin Yu did not respond to Si Xiaoxian's anger. Seeing this, the latter also calmed down. "I'm sorry. My tone was too harsh." Si Xiaoxian exhaled. "What else do you know?" "I know everything you know. Perhaps I know what you don't know." Lin Yu's words confused Si Xiaoxian. "Since you lure me here on purpose, you must have other plans." Si Xiaoxian remembered how powerful Lin Yu was when he dealt with Yin Xiaoxiao. "I owed you a favor then. If what you're doing isn't too difficult, I might be able to help you." Si Xiaoxian did not speak carelessly. She added, "But the 9 Serenity's cold flame can only be touched by my father. What if your father is already trapped by someone? What should we do?" Lin Yu's sudden words stunned Si Xiaoxian. "What did you say?" Chapter 263. She furrowed her brows again. Seeing this, Lin Yu smiled. Looks like you've guessed something. Si Shaoxian took a deep breath and said, the 8 prefectures have been extremely divided recently. There are constant conflicts, and the Earth Leaderboard Advancement Battle was also held by Big Brother as the acting sect master. You should know what it means for the profound sect to advance from the Earth Leaderboard to the Heaven Leaderboard. Lin Yu said again. Si Shaoxian nodded, her face full of confusion. It means that we can place our own people in the Elder Hall. I've heard about it from the 3 prefectures who support me, but I don't understand why he's in such a hurry. I'm not going to fight with him. The him Si Shaoxian was referring to was Si Junlin. About this, you'll know in the future. Lin Yu smiled gently. There were too many secrets for Si Shaoxian to know now. You just need to know what you should do now. After pouring a cup of tea and listening to Lin Yu's deduction, Si Shaoxian's mouth was dry. She thought Lin Yu was going to pour tea for her and even reached out her hand. Who would have thought that Lin Yu would leisurely drink by himself, looking like he was enjoying himself? Bastard! Si Shaoxian cursed in her heart. Lin Yu looked over and his gaze fell on her hand. You want to drink it? No. Si Shaoxian snorted softly, but Lin Yu had already handed it to her. Fine. She reached out and took the teacup. She was too thirsty. Gulp. After drinking it, Si Shaoxian returned the teacup to Lin Yu, but the next moment she was dumbfounded. There's only one teacup? There were no other teacups on the table except for the teapot. This is what you've drunk before? Si Shaoxian felt her throat dry up. Seeing Lin Yu nod, Si Shaoxian wanted to die. Are you a hooligan? Why are you giving me something you've drunk before? It's not like I haven't tried it before. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. It's not just tea. Haven't you drunk other things before? It was just that he'd been trapped for 100,000 years. You're too poor here. You only have one teacup in such a big palace? Si Shaoxian was fuming with anger. This isn't my territory. Lin Yu felt that he was very innocent. You were thirsty, so I shared my remaining tea with you. What did I do wrong? Si Shaoxian only felt her blood boiling, and it took her a long time to calm down. Okay, let's not talk about that. I can answer your question now. She calmed herself down and said, You're right. If Father was still in charge of the situation, he wouldn't have let Big Brother do this. Controlling the Earth, ranking and roping in the 8 prefectures. Although I don't want to fight with him, if Father comes out of seclusion, he will be unhappy. After Si Shaoxian finished speaking, Lin Yu nodded and smiled. It's good that you can think it through. Lin Yu, you're the most powerful person I have ever met. Si Shaoxian couldn't help but praise him. Keep your thoughts to yourself. After washing the cup, Lin Yu continued to pour tea. Sugar-coated bullets don't work on me. What are your plans? Tell me. Si Shaoxian was even more infuriated when she saw what he was doing. Damn it. Why did he know to wash it when he was using it? He must have deliberately made me eat his saliva just now. Seeing that Lin Yu didn't fall for her trick, Si Shaoxian put away her other thoughts. I plan to interfere with the Earth-ranking battle and drive away the person that Big Brother wants to place in the Elder Hall. Nodding, Lin Yu smiled and said, What else? Also, I want to see Father personally. Si Shaoxian thought. I will tell you about the other things after I see Father. Why do you want to tell me? Lin Yu deliberately put on a nonchalant look and spread out his hands. I don't care. Si Shaoxian approached Lin Yu and snorted. How could she not know that Lin Yu was playing hard to get? Since you deliberately tricked me here, then you'll have to take responsibility for what happens in the future. Lin Yu sighed softly and said helplessly, To be responsible for one of the top beauties in the inner area is of course the dream of all men in the inner area. However, it feels like you're forcing me to do this. I don't care. Si Shaoxian remembered that Lin Yu and Yin Xiaoxiao were intimate in front of the romantic moon tree and even promised to go to the floating life demon sect to find her. She said, You probably didn't have time to find Yin Xiaoxiao, so you came to find me first? She couldn't help but feel happy. The floating life demon sect's demoness, Yin Xiaoxiao, was charming. Si Shaoxian, the young mistress of the 8 residences of the celestial sect of wonders, was mischievous. These two were famous women in the inner area and were the dream lovers of countless men. Therefore, The competition between the two had never stopped. Any feeling of winning against Yin Xiao made Si Xiaoxian very happy. Since you came to find me first, you are ready to help me, right? Si Xiaoxian decided to use the soft approach. If she wanted to stop Si Junlin, she had to get the support of someone as powerful as Lin Yu. No, without even thinking about it, Lin Yu had already rejected Si Xiaoxian. Si Xiaoxian clenched her teeth. Then what do you want in exchange for helping me? Not enough sincerity. Lin Yu smiled. He wrapped his right hand around Si Xiaoxian's waist and pulled her onto his lap. You. Si Xiaoxian was about to resist when Lin Yu smiled. If you're not willing to do this, how can you win against Yin Xiao and Si Junlin? Si Xiaoxian, Yin Xiao, Si Junlin, Zhang Lingyi, these young people in the inner area had never stopped fighting. After listening, Si Xiaoxian frowned slightly. She struggled for a while, but gave up resisting in the end. Lin Yu seemed to be in the transcendent realm. However, Si Xiaoxian still remembered clearly that Yin Xiao and the others had a hard time even taking a punch from him. She begged for mercy. I'm not that kind of woman. There are some things that Yin Xiao can do, but I can't. Lin Yu smiled and let go of his hand. Si Xiaoxian regained her freedom and stood up. Her tight figure was faintly discernible under her black clothes. You're not a lecherous person. Say it. What are your conditions? I, Si Xiaoxian, still have some money to hire you. The 9 nether cold fire is gone. No, I can't make that decision. Si Xiaoxian looked helpless. It's not that I don't want to give it to you. That thing is used for forging. What do you want it for? Are you really a blacksmith? She thought that Lin Yu's blacksmith identity was just a cover to lure her in. You don't have to worry about this. Lin Yu smiled. In this case, you need to promise me that if you can make the decision one day, you will lend me the 9 nether cold fire. Si Xiaoxian frowned. That will do. She felt strange. Why would someone be willing to make such an empty promise? If that day comes, wouldn't she be the leader of the celestial sect of wonders? The first step is as you said. Sneak into the Earth list battle. Lin Yu became serious. Si Xiaoxian nodded. Do you need me to help you investigate who my brother found? Chapter 264. No need. Lin Yu touched the teacup and smiled. The people from the 8 prefectures will investigate for me. Even the 8 prefectures have people working for you? Si Xiaoxian looked around. Your title as the #1 blacksmith in the inner district was given to you by the Mu clan. But don't they support my big brother? Don't worry about this for now. I can't explain it clearly. You just need to help me with 2 things. Tell me. Si Xiaoxian couldn't help but interrupt. You bad guy. You already have an idea, but you still want me to beg you. Lin Yu wasn't interested in flirting with her anymore. He knew time was running out. The first thing is, as you said, check out the Black Heaven sect situation. Of course, you might not be able to see him. Si Xiaoxian had a bad feeling after hearing this. Lin Yu continued, the second thing is, I need to know when Tang Xin and Zhang Lingyi's wedding is. Tang Xin? Si Xiaoxian looked at Lin Yu in surprise. You know her? We're friends. Lin Yu said, I finally know who you are. Si Xiaoxian suddenly patted Lin Yu's shoulder heavily. You're the one Tang Xin likes, right? Lin Yu's face twitched when he heard this. Ignoring his feelings, Si Xiaoxian continued. She didn't tell me your name, but she did tell me your story. You helped her in a place called Demonic Beast Forest in the Outer Realm. Did you know? Tang Xin admires you a lot. She rejected Zhang Lingyi because of you. Si Xiaoxian couldn't help but slam the table. With a bang, the entire table exploded. Lin Yu's face was filled with black lines. This girl was too violent. Fortunately, he had told the people from a Mu clan not to make any noise. Speaking of Zhang Lingyi makes me angry. Si Xiaoxian grabbed Lin Yu's hand. You're here to steal the bride, aren't you? Lin Yu, you can do it. I have faith in you. That useless Zhang Lingyi doesn't deserve Tang Xin at all. If it wasn't for Big Brother, who personally agreed to the Bodhi sect with Father's verbal order. Thinking up to this point, and connecting it to some of Lin Yu's speculations, Si Xiaoxian became more and more worried about her father. Father once said that Zhang Lingyi was the #1 good-for-nothing in the inner area. How could he possibly agree to the marriage proposal from the Bodhi sect? Could it be the verbal order was fake? The more she thought about it, the more scared she became. Si Shaoxian said, Lin Yu, I'm going to find my father first. We'll talk about this later. Si Shaoxian's figure disappeared as soon as she finished speaking. All that was left was a broken table. After Lin Yu sighed, he couldn't be bothered with this mess. The plan has been laid out. Now we just have to wait for the Earth ranking battle to play. Having just broken through to the spiritual force realm, Lin Yu was full of energy and no longer felt sleepy. His figure disappeared and entered the Nirvana heaven and Earth staff. Inside the low-key sect, it was even more lively than the last time Lin Yu had returned. Under the Wind Moon tree, several auras were sitting cross-legged there. They noticed Lin Yu's return and wanted to get up to greet him, but they were stopped by Lin Yu. I'm about to break through, so there's no need to salute. These people were Qin Ji, Yao Gu, Xia Bing, and Sword Maniac. At this moment, their auras had reached the peak of the invincible stage. They were only one step away from stepping into the Grand Supreme stage. Obviously, even though Lin Yu rarely came back, they still didn't slack off on their cultivation. They were silently following Lin Yu's footsteps. Moreover, even if there was a gap in their combat strength, they were still much higher than Lin Yu in terms of cultivation realm. Sect Master. The left and right envoys came up to greet him. Lin Yu smiled. How long has it been? This is the 6th hour. Great Elder. It's a little slower. It's now the 2nd hour. Yang Kai and Qin Wu Yin said one after another. It seemed that Lin Yu was the only one who understood what they meant. It's still early. Lin Yu's gaze fell on the Wind Moon tree. At the top of the huge trunk, a ray of light suddenly illuminated the ground. This is, even with Yang Kai's and Qin Wu Yin's cultivation, their minds were shaken at this moment. Principles. This tree actually has the power of principles. Many people also saw this phenomenon and gathered around. They only knew that the Wind Moon tree could constantly emit Yao Qi and fill this space. It allowed them to cultivate with more concentrated Yao Qi, just like in the outside world. But who would have thought that in addition to Yao Qi, the tree also had principles? Other than Mei, who brought the Wind Moon tree back with Lin Yu, everyone else stared with wide eyes as the light of principles enveloped the 4 of them. Although you've only stepped into the Grand Supreme stage, if you have a principle left behind by the Wind Moon Great Sage as a guide, your Tao Foundation will be able to advance differently. After Lin Yu finished speaking, the principles split into 4. Qin Ji and the other 3 felt extremely carefree at this moment. Many thanks, Sect Master, the 4 women murmured. It was not convenient for them to kneel to Lin Yu at this time, but the gratitude in their eyes was beyond words. Lin Yu did not comment. After 44 hours, when the golden body appears, it will be the time to step into the Grand Supreme stage. This subordinate will definitely guard this place well. The left and right emissaries said in unison. Even if they were the only ones here, there were too many people in low-profile sect now. It was hard to guarantee that someone would disturb them. But the main reason why Lin Yu asked the left and right emissaries to stay here was because of the dangers of stepping into the Grand Supreme stage. With these 2 here, they could help them when necessary. Sect Master, this subordinate is also willing to guard here. When Shun Sui saw that Lin Yu had returned, she immediately stepped forward. Go! Lin Yu nodded casually. Qi Yao, Yao Rao, and the others also came to pay their respects. It seems that Dongwang Fei Yu is also about to break through. Not seeing Dongwang Fei Yu, Lin Yu made a guess. Qi Yao and Yao Rao looked at each other and couldn't help but admire. Sect Master's eyes are like torches. Nothing can be hidden from you. Yao Rao added after Qi Yao. Big Sister is in seclusion to break through the 400th Grand Supreme stage. She said that Sect Master's pace is too fast, and she always has a sense of crisis that she will be surpassed by Sect Master if she is not careful. She is thinking too much. Lin Yu shrugged. I'm still far from the Grand Supreme stage. But after thinking about it carefully, Lin Yu suddenly felt that it was not too far away. As long as he got the 9 serene cold fire and the Bodhi heart, his three essences fusion realm would undergo an extremely terrifying change. At that time, Lin Yu did not dare to imagine what his realm would be like. At the thought of not being able to block a blow from Lin Yu couldn't help but get excited. His motivation to become stronger had soared to the extreme. Sect Master, the elders in the left and right emissaries asked you to deal with the memorials from the Sect Master Hall when you are free. Lin Yu's face twitched. He originally planned to come back and take a look out of boredom. Is something going to happen now? He stepped into the Sect Master Hall of low-profile sect and roughly looked at the operation of the past few days. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.